On June 5, 2014, a road crew working along Highway 12 in Walworth County, Wisconsin, made a discovery that would expose one of the most disturbing cases in the state's history. Sitting in plain view along the roadside were two abandoned suitcases, one purple, one black. When authorities arrived and opened them, they found something unimaginable. The remains of two women, both stuffed inside like discarded luggage. For weeks, investigators had no idea who these women were or who had put them in there. Then, the dental records came back. The woman in the purple suitcase was identified as Jenny Gamez, just 19 years old, from Cottage Grove, Oregon. She'd been missing since August 2012, nearly 2 years. The woman in the black suitcase was Laura Simonson, 37, from Rochester, Minnesota. She had vanished in November 2012. Two women, two different states. No known connection between them. But when investigators accessed Laura's online accounts using passwords provided by a friend, they discovered something chilling. Both women had been active on the same website, a meetup platform for people involved in bondage, discipline, and sadomasochism. Laura and Jenny had never met. Security footage from a Rochester, Minnesota hotel gave investigators their first real break. Laura had checked in on the night she disappeared, but she never checked out. Cameras captured a man wheeling her suitcase out on a luggage trolley the next morning. Hotel staff thought nothing of it at the time, but Laura wasn't walking beside him. She was already dead inside that suitcase. Investigators reviewed the guest records. Of the 27 people staying at the hotel that night, only one paid in cash. Only one refused to leave a paper trail. That man used an online alias, Mr. Handcuffs. His real name was Steven Zellick, a former police officer from West Allis, Wisconsin. When detectives approached Zellick, he didn't run. He didn't lawyer up. He cooperated. He admitted knowing Laura. He handed over his DNA voluntarily, but that DNA sealed his fate. It matched evidence found on the rope tied around Laura's body. When authorities searched his home, they found industrial-strength bleach scattered throughout the house, yet mold still clung to the bathroom walls. They found a suitcase filled with whips, restraints, and BDSM equipment, and they found something else, a police badge. During investigation, Zellick confessed. He told detectives about Jenny, about Laura, about breath play that allegedly went too far. But the most disturbing details weren't about how they died. It was about what he did with their bodies afterward, how he stored them, how he lived his normal life while they decomposed around him, and why, after all that time, he finally decided to dump them on Highway 12. But was it really an accident, or was this the calculated work of a predator who knew exactly how to make women disappear?
No, Travis.
I don't think you met Travis yet, have you?
No. No.
Okay.
Well, we wanted to kind of go through a few things today, Steve. Wanted to get Travis in here to ask any questions that he may have and be a part of any of this kind of follow-up that's happening. And I know we talked about a lot yesterday, and a lot that you had to process and go through, and maybe some of the questions that we asked yesterday you didn't have the answers, so you might have them today, and so feel free to share that with us and go down that road or ask any questions you may have of us, okay?
Sure.
First, to start off here, this is kind of the Google Maps of the hotel area that you were describing with Jenny.
Yes. Okay.
Is there do you see here a certain, based on the markings, like here's that one, the broad stop, yep. Where you would be able to circle or point out where that hotel was. I know you said there was like 3 hotels, right?
Yes.
Do you need reading glasses?
No.
Sure.
I can read it. I'm going to need glasses eventually. Well, that is the general area, and it's the I believe it's going to be in the on the map, it's going to be, I believe there was 2 or 3.
Like right here?
There's like 2 or 3,
Right,
1,
in
2,
that
or
area?
3.
On that side of the...
Yes, this side of the...
Okay,
What was that, F?
so we have F that's called...
Oh, we got the names there.
yeah.
Okay.
Which one's the broad stop?
That's closest to the road here. It's the
Mhm.
restaurant.
Okay, there it's labeled on there.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's right there.
Country Inn is, where's...
So we have-
H is, Country Inn is, no, that's not it.
Okay, then there's
I wanna say
J.
J Comfort,
They're kind of all, they're all clustered right
because they're
there.
very close next to
So
each other.
there's, F is, where's that?
Value it?
Yeah, so the F is value in.
Now you said which one do you think it was?
Country Inn is not.
Country Inn is a no.
It's farther down, no.
So cross
Okay.
that out.
That one's a no.
And you also said that,
I believe it's Comfort Suite.
Comfort
This is a
Suite.
possibility.
Yes.
And then can you just circle this right area where
This,
that
it
little-
will be in this area here.
Okay, okay.
Okay.
Do you want to give that to Dana? Because she was going to make calls based on that.
Yep, we'll be right back.
Thank you for doing that.
What was that address on there, 7650?
7206 122nd Avenue. 7206 122nd Avenue.
Here, this is taken from your apartment.
Sure.
So, that's kind of what you were talking about your stuff having to be portable and kind of how
Yeah.
you transported
Yeah.
everything. Did you bring this suitcase with you to Rochester when you went to meet Laura?
It was either, I would say yes. And it was either, this one or the one that she was in. You know, the black one. The
Okay.
black, not the
So
pink one, the black one.
The black one that she was in, was that one that you brought from your house then, or was that one that Laura brought?
Either or, it was either hers or mine.
Okay.
And this is the opposite, so either this
Yeah.
one is hers or this one is mine and vice versa.
Okay, well, this is at your house.
Right.
And you had this all set up. So do you remember when you went to meet Jenny, from the time you went to meet Jenny to the time you went to meet Laura, so like August of 2012 to November of 2013, so you got kind of a span, did you put everything into this black suitcase? This stuff and kept it in there and then this is what you would use for your stuff?
That's
Or did you change suitcases?
I don't recall,
Okay.
because you had Jenny, I had a big full-size black nylon
Okay.
suitcase that was
Okay,
mine.
fine.
And the detail to your question, I don't remember if this is the same one, that's
Okay.
mine, or that might have been Laura's,
Okay.
and I flip-flopped them,
Well, this,
you know, one is...
oh, I see what you're saying, yeah.
You know, say one, I think one is slightly bigger than the other.
Okay, so this one, this blue one, I don't know if it's this one that we're looking at or not, but one, you had a black suitcase that had this name, this
Type of
thing.
tag on it,
Yeah,
yeah.
is this,
That doesn't look like it would be my
yeah.
tag.
Yeah, this actually, it's got a number and a name and stuff from Oregon, this black suitcase. So this is a Oregon number, and it looks like Beaverton, Oregon on there. So does that ring a bell for this suitcase being your suitcase, or not?
No, I'm thinking black full-size suitcase would not have a tag like that.
Okay, yours one, okay.
Mine would.
Okay. This is,
Do you know whose bag this is then? Do you remember whose bag this
No,
is?
I mean, I don't. And I don't know. Is this a full-size one? Is it a big
Yeah.
full-size one?
yeah, a big black one.
Mine would be a big black one. Fairly newish.
Okay,
And it wouldn't have any type of tag on it like that.
okay.
That would be mine.
So when we followed up, we called the number and kind of checked this out. This was a bag that Jenny actually had at one time.
Okay.
So do you remember you taking Jenny's bag specifically? What do you remember about that?
No, because with hers, I really remember the pink one.
Okay.
The pinkish one, that one I identified with her.
Okay. Okay. So you didn't identify this bag with her at all?
Not particularly, no. That's not, I don't remember that, or I don't really associate that one. Like I said, the one I associate with her is the pinkish one.
Okay.
But it's not yours, correct?
Correct.
And do you remember how I got it in your home?
Not particularly.
Do you get out-of-town visitors during that period of time?
No.
With suitcases?
No.
Okay, so you don't get any out-of-town visitors. Okay. All right.
Okay, but you don't associate Jenny with this suitcase. This doesn't have any special meaning to you.
No.
Because, you know, I mean, you know me, I think about stuff from a different standpoint because of my background, and I was wondering, did you specifically keep this suitcase of Jenny's because it's Jenny's?
No.
Okay, so no association?
No association. And again, she may have had multiple, but again, the pink one I associate with her because that being pink, and I remember her having the pink one.
Okay. Okay. The other thing I was wanting to follow back up on, what did you do with Jenny's personal belongings?
And that was, I think Gil asked me, or Jeff, I'm not sure, asked me a similar question, and that was just miscellaneously discarded, personal clothing, toiletries or whatever was in there.
What about the more expensive stuff like the tablet, electronic tablet, or cell phone?
Same thing, just randomly discarded.
So you just threw away the electronic tablet?
Yes.
Okay. Do you remember where you threw that away?
No, not really, because that was with both. That was just randomly tossed garbages, dumpsters, just no real plan or purpose with that.
Now, I know that Laura had a cell phone that she had with her.
Okay.
Do you remember what you did with Laura's cell phone?
Same thing. If she had, I don't even specifically recall. I mean, I don't specifically, but anything was probably tossed just randomly.
Okay. Because the reason why I know about Laura is because in your chats you got pretty specific with Laura on it, and you had said, when you walk through all those things that you talked about, close your accounts and do all that, one thing you had said is, keep this phone, have it with you. I won't be able to communicate with you when I leave, but bring this phone with you, and you have the instant messenger piece of it.
And I don't specifically remember the phone. I guess I don't specifically, I can't picture it, but any of her, with both, randomly, basically just randomly thrown out. Okay.
Well, you know how you talked about that stuff with Laura, the list of being the fantasies and the different duties to do as far as kind of part of that control?
Yes.
Did you have that same conversation with Jenny like that?
Well, I think we probably to some degree. I can't recall the specific conversation. It's been a bit of time now back. I'm sure some of the conversations were similar. But specifically the way those items, no, I don't recall that.
Because when I was looking through that, you had a lot of detail with the ones for Laura, kind of walking through different things. And I know before you talked about how some of this stuff is just stuff that you say to a lot of people, and it's out there and stuff like that. And so from August of 2012, and then kind of narrowed it down, probably August of 2012 when you encountered Jenny. Okay. So from like August of 2012 to November of 2013 with Laura, do you think you were still using the same, that kind of same mantra, or do you think that
I think
how it was
in-
different with Jenny?
Well, in general, it was probably the same, and it would depend on, I suppose, how long one was talking to any individual, and how, maybe how much the conversation might have progressed to
So-
a potential meeting.
Yeah.
Or,
Okay. Well, one thing you talked about with Laura is deleting her Facebook page.
okay.
Do you remember talking about that with Jenny?
No, not specifically.
Why would you want Laura to delete her Facebook page?
Well, all of that is, reference all of that type of discussion is referencing long-term relationship under the BDSM
Yeah.
foundation or, basis or foundation. And then all goes to the control thing and really the switching from the vanilla, as we talked about yesterday, to those type of things really wouldn't be needed. Those a cell phone or Facebook or that type of thing.
I see. So there's a chance that you could have had that same conversation with Jenny.
It's possible.
Potentially.
It's possible.
So you know how you talked about both with Jenny and Laura that you weren't set up to have a permanent slave, you weren't interested in kind of the long term, setup like that. I think we forgot to talk about yesterday that when you picked up Jenny, you checked in, it was a Friday, you would be checking out on a Sunday.
Right.
What was going to happen on Sunday with Jenny if the incident had happened? What was going to happen at checkout? Because she thought she was
Came in
coming
Friday,
She did Friday, stayed.
Saturday, Sunday.
Yep.
And that the intention there really was going to be fly her or provide her a flight out and flight back because unfortunately I'm not or was not and am not in a position for the long term, and that's where probably short term was the only option. As we discussed yesterday, the other day, play or session or
Okay.
meeting.
Okay. So did she have a one-way ticket or a two-way ticket?
That I don't recall.
Okay.
Did you buy her a ticket?
No. No.
She bought her ticket. Okay. Okay. So you remember how we talked yesterday too about the pink fingernail polish
Yes.
and the clean shaven, and you were saying it's kind of a preference and another kind of control, telling Laura to do those things.
Right.
Did you tell Jenny to do those same things as well?
Specifically, I don't recall, but it does sound like something I very well could have because it was a preference.
Have you always been into pink fingernail polish as a preference for you, or what you would say, or is that something that happened with Jenny?
That would probably be probably a preference if that topic came up. I would probably say reference the same thing.
Okay. So and this is kind of, I just put this out here to kind of talk about it because I was thinking about last night after we talked. And so Jenny had pink. I know Jenny had pink fingernail polish
Right.
on, right?
You mentioned that, yeah.
She's clean shaven as well. When you're communicating with Laura, and obviously with Jenny, I know that the incident happened, and that occurred. But we talked about like last night. There was all that breath play and that control and everything up until that point. It was very exhilarating, very exciting, very erotic, a very positive experience, right?
Enjoyable, certainly.
Yeah.
Within an activity, within the BDSM. Yes.
Way more enjoyable than spanking, right?
I would say yes, but all enjoyable. I mean,
Yeah.
all the activities within that is enjoyable.
Well, I'm talking though specifically kind of about you. So
Okay.
when we talked about you last night, you were saying bondage and control. Those are really that's that umbrella that I'm kind of under, and I really like that stuff. So
That's
I would
the foundation.
yeah
type
the
of
foundation of it.
probably.
So I would think that there is to be that positive aspect, that breath play. And Jenny, when we're looking at Jenny and that experience being the first time that you had kind of really gone through with that, right?
Well,
Am I?
I think overall you're correct. Yes. I mean,
What am I not correct on? Feel free to correct me, because I want to make sure I'm understanding.
well, those are, as we discussed, the two high level or they're higher level
Yeah.
activities, and they're enjoyable, and they're all based on the control and I guess we have to repeat some of what you said because I kind of did.
Well, just, if I say something that's wrong, just cut me off and say, no, I think of this way or that. Okay, so.
Okay.
But anyways, we're talking about this area of breath play with Jenny and that being an enjoyable experience
Yes.
and kind of going into that. So when you're getting Laura ready to kind of for this face-to-face encounter, and
Yes.
you're going through the different, what do you call them, demands or criteria or protocol, what did you use?
Protocols, kind of protocols.
Protocols, okay, that was the word, okay. So when you're going through that with Laura, is there a part, I'm thinking about how important the control is, and not everybody can be at this level of doing this high-end, level of a bondage exercise, with the breath play.
Right.
And so is there, when you're kind of starting to get Laura for these protocols and going through the protocols, is there a part of Laura's experience that is mirroring Jenny's? Because of how enjoyable and exciting Jenny's was, of kind of trying to recreate, kind of like if there's a fantasy, you'd be kind of putting that same fantasy together.
Sure.
But for you, like I said, it's not fantasy because it's
Sure,
a reality.
I understand now. Well, there are certainly similarities, and I must have been thinking along those lines. That
Okay.
there are similarities, between these two instances.
Because they almost, like, when you put them up to each other, they're just almost identical. And that's what I was thinking. So you say...
And I don't know if that was absolutely conscious, but when I look at the two, obviously they're very similar. So either I consciously thought that, or planned that, or preferred that, or it maybe just naturally occurred because that was maybe a preference.
So yeah, either way, though, kind of you leading yourself down that path because of the preference, whether because you already knew it was enjoyable, so the road map's already there, and you're kind of going through it.
In my mind, sure.
Okay.
It's like, for example, you remember your first cigarette, right? That was a damn good cigarette. And as you go on over the years, you enjoy it a little bit, but it's not as good as that first cigarette. You know what I'm saying? Are you trying to recreate that experience, that feeling from the first one to the second one?
The part when I describe very accurate, I can't say consciously that I consciously said to myself, I'm going to recreate. That I like this so much that I'm going to recreate it exactly. Although it appears very accurately.
Well, and that's why I wonder if
not-
it's can't or you won't. You know what I mean? Because it's very kind of, when we look at it, it's a total mirror. It's a total mirror, and that breath control exercise, the breath play with Jenny, if I understand from everything that we talked about last night and all the information I know about the BDSM foundation and this is that lifestyle, that's a pretty big deal. That's a pretty big event. It's not one that you would forget. It's kind of like winning the Super Bowl. It's up there on the top, and all the people that win the Super Bowl, they're going to remember that Super Bowl, and they're going to want to get to the Super Bowl again, right? I mean, it's magnified. It's significant. It puts you at a different level in the BDSM community that you're willing to do that high-end activity that requires a type of associated risk with it. It's kind of a status in a way. I mean, that's kind of.
I don't disagree. I just the only thing yesterday and today, the only part that I pause with is that I don't feel or recall that I'm consciously saying, Steve, telling myself or thinking of it so definitively that way. You know, so clearly, that's, you know, talking to myself or imaging it that way.
Do you remember yesterday how we were talking between the first one and the second one, and when you got to the second one, you continued to say that it was very much sort of like the first one. Very many times you kept referring to the first one. It was the second was like the first one. You know, do you remember saying that to me yesterday?
Yes, yes.
Very similar to like the first one. You know, it's almost like the same MO. If I could, you being a law officer.
Yes,
I'm
and
sorry,
when you look at it, you know, yes, the similarities of the two instances are similar. The only slight part I'm pointing out is that I don't recall or feel I was consciously saying, you know, creating it or recreating it.
But thinking back right now, what would you think?
Well, there must have been incredible preference and subconscious, you know, appreciation for the first one, or like I just don't recall or feel that I was the first one, second one. I'm going to recreate it so specifically. That I just don't feel I was doing, consciously anyway.
It's kind of semantics in a way. You know what I mean? When you're saying, you know, the way you're kind of talking about it, it's like, I'm wondering, what are you afraid of if you say, yeah, I was consciously planning it? How do you think that changes this? Like, you know, because it seems like it's so, you know, you're saying it's similar. There must have been a preference. There must have been a definite gravitation towards that.
But the second incident, or the items of the decision to the activities, that's the word I'm looking for, the activities, I could have picked up one of a million activities, both for Jenny and Laura.
Yeah. But you know, I mean, this breath play is kind of on that hierarchy. It's kind of like, you know, when you start doing your climbing and you want to climb and you do that, and then you start getting more and more difficult climbs, right? Like if you're a climber and you're out there climbing, eventually it gets more challenging, and then you start to go to more challenging terrain and stuff like that. I understand the BDSM culture, and that's a very distinct high-end technique.
It is.
Right?
It is.
It is. And so it was eventually going to come. You know, you were eventually going to get to breath play because of the evolution of kind of how you were blossoming into the BDSM culture, and you were kind of gravitating towards the not vanilla kind.
Correct.
You know, and to use your word in that, you know what I mean?
Yes.
And so I guess when I'm looking at that and I see the similarities, I'm just wondering about that, because it seems like you're getting really hung up on, well, I don't know if I was consciously planning that. I don't know if I was consciously seeking that out. You know what I mean?
Well, I don't want to be intentionally hanging anything. I mean, your description of the way you described it, I'm not really disputing anything. I'm just the only slight point I'm making is that I don't recall or feel that I was so conscious on that.
Okay. Well, let me ask you this, 'cause this might help too. When you're getting your stuff together for Laura, and you know you're going to go pick her up, and you have a face-to-face encounter, and it's going to be more of a short-term face-to-face encounter,
Right.
Are you thinking about, I'm going to do breath play?
On the way.
You have a 5-hour drive, right? Or however long the long drive. Yeah. Are you thinking, I'm going to do breath play?
Well, I'm sure that, yes, that was one of many thoughts.
Okay.
And I'm sure I had...
what other thoughts were you thinking when you're
well,
driving?
different activities, activity-wise.
Okay, so what other activities were you thinking? When you're driving and you're thinking, Laura, what are the other activities you're thinking? These are ones I want to do, or these are ones I want to try?
Types of bondage, types of control, what type of
So 5
accessories did I, you know, what do I have, you know, what do I bring, What?
You only have one of these packs, or you understand you got like two?
I believe two.
Two, yeah, there's a smaller one,
Yeah.
and a bigger one.
They're almost exactly packed in the same. Like this is. I look at this. This is. It doesn't look. It looks organized to me. Like you got all the special tools that you're going to need for this encounter. And if you look at the other bag, this takes planning. It's not something that you're an organized man. You're very organized, and this shows me the way these suitcases are packed. They may look a little disorganized, but they're actually not, because every tool here
It's probably connected.
it's somehow connected. It's somewhere. It's for a special event. This takes thinking out. This is not like disorganized, and that's why she's trying to get you. Are you trying to reach the same action all the time? Trying to recreate the first event? Because this here looks like I like it. I want to do it just the right way, and I want to plan everything the right way. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes, I do understand. I'm generally an organized person overall.
Okay.
Overall.
Okay.
But, and I'm not disputing that, although this is not, it could have been far more organized. It's a little disheveled.
But there's probably a rhyme and reason to the way things are in there, and the different items are with certain other items, right?
Not particularly. That's, I think you're giving me or analyzing it a little bit too much. I don't. This is in my mind pretty kind of thrown together a little bit.
Let me talk to you about Laura, okay? And when you went to go pick up Laura, you wrote me that diagram, okay? And you were able to tell me where her home was.
Right.
And you were to meet her over here.
Right.
That was all planned out. It's organized.
Okay.
Why didn't you go like a gentleman and go pick her up
At her house.
at her house if nothing really was going to happen?
No, I believe.
Why did you meet her down here?
I believe in discussion. I believe the discussion and plans were to meet at the school.
Discussion and plan, organized. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Sure.
If I'm going to take out a young lady, I'm going to knock at the door, I'm going to pick her up, and if I want to have whatever type of sex that we agree that, we're fine. I'm going to go and make love or whatever I got to do, and I'll bring her back.
But in this sense, it's part of the control to make her walk there, right? Part of the planning and stuff?
No, I believe it was her description and to meet her actually suggestion to meet at the school. I don't think for whatever I'm speculating, whatever her reasons might have been, she did not want a direct pickup at the house. I did not have an address, her residence.
But you're the master, you could have asked for it, correct?
I certainly could have asked. But she said she lives very close to the school, and her preferences seem to be. You'll find the school.
Okay.
The school's very close to my house. It's right on the It's right at the intersection, and that's at first where I parked and waited. She was running a little late, and wanted to make sure I was in the right spot. Didn't want to miss, and I went in the general area. I think I went south a little bit to check, and went north. I believe that's the proper directions. And as I was going north, school at the intersection, this direction, and then she came from across the street. She was walking on the other side of the street.
And she had bags with her?
Yeah, she had
A roller bag? Like a
roller bag,
suitcase?
and I want to say 3 bags, 4 bags, or 3 bags, maybe in a duffel bag type of thing.
Okay. So when you're driving and you're kind of thinking about the different activities you're going to do, and you know what stuff you have with that you've brought with, and you're thinking, breath play is on that list, right?
Sure.
Okay. So tell me what you're thinking when you think about breath play.
Well, breath play is. I'm always conscious that it's a higher end activity, but it is a very controlling activity. I know we discussed it a little bit yesterday. admitted risk, but it's very, on that control scale, it's very high.
Well, and there seems like when I think about it, like you said, this admitted risk, right? There's almost kind of like an unstated, there's almost kind of like, there's something unstated that goes with it, or you know, something that's kind of assumed with it, right? So what, for somebody who's not in, you know, that understands the full dimension of that, what is that? Like if you were to describe that to somebody, let's say somebody who's new to the BDSM world, and you say, hey, have you ever did breath play? And they say, well, what's that? How do you describe that to them? Do you go into any more detail than you just did right now?
You can, and you mentioned how it occurs, and we talked about yesterday. It can be hand and nose and gags and rope and constricting and choking is very popular in BDSM. That's a very popular form of it. And for a lot of people who are newer, you know, they don't know about it initially, and they learn. And so over time they are exposed to it and learn. I don't recall specifically discussing it with Laura.
Okay.
You know, in previous conversation.
Okay.
That I don't recall.
Okay, what about Jenny? Do you remember specifically discussing with Jenny?
No, I don't specifically recall activity-wise.
Okay.
I think the majority, if you look back, and I'm certainly not disputing any of the Yahoo interaction, but most discussion is less specific activity-wise and more overall conceptual to what
Well, when you talk about the inherent risk that's there, what does that mean? Like, what does that mean to you, the inherent risk?
Well, it's just by the nature of breath play that and constricting breath, that is, it's potentially dangerous.
Is it potentially deadly?
Well, it certainly can be, yes.
Okay,
Yes.
so when you think of inherent risk, you kind of have this disclaimer that kind of goes with it. You know what I mean? I mean, with breath play, there's kind of a disclaimer in your mind. You know, there's risk that's associated here. It can be dangerous, depending on different factors. It can be deadly, depending on
And there are
factors.
probably other activities. There are people that are far more, we touched on yesterday, sadists. They do very high-end physical pain
Pain and
things and
torture,
all.
yeah.
And they talk about risk aware, that it's an acknowledgement, I guess, that there is risk in these activities.
Well, yeah, and exactly, and so that's why I was kind of wondering how you. So when you're driving and you're thinking about that, I'm going to participate in breath play, and that's a technique that I'd like to use in this encounter, and knowing that in your mind you've kind of gone through, and you might have passed through it fast, but you kind of passed through. Breath play is a higher end. There's a risk associated with it. It can be dangerous. It can be deadly. Is that fair to say?
I guess that's fair.
You probably go through it faster
Very.
because you know about it and you utilize it, and it's more knowledgeable than like somebody else who.
And I
Maybe
guess
consider
I
it
will
more.
agree with that, other than I emphasize it goes through fast. It's not something I'm sitting and spending this kind of time actually thinking about. You know, it's something that's gone through very quickly amongst probably many images or choices of activity, you know.
Well, and that's what I might have gotten this wrong, and I wanted to check. I thought when I was listening to your guys' interview yesterday that when you were talking about Laura in that encounter that happened, you know, the day, that Sunday where the incident happened with her, and she's got the ball gag in, and you started to do the breath control, the breath play with her. I thought you said something about that Laura and you had talked, and Laura said something about the choking game, or did I not get that? Or the pass out game, or something like that, and that she had talked about it, and then you didn't dispute it, but you went along and you didn't redirect her. Did I get that wrong yesterday? And I might have. I'm just trying to
I'm not recall. I don't think there was any discussion or pass out game with Laura, or if there was, it was in passing. There was no real dwelling on it. I don't recall specifically, and again, I will never dispute whatever was discussed on the Yahoo, but I don't recall specifically her mentioning pass out or that type of reference.
Okay. So when you start that day, that more early morning with Laura, and you're doing the breath play, you guys aren't having communications at that point, right? You're not talking about, she's got the ball gag in her mouth, and so kind of interferes with her ability to kind of carry on and say.
And that's a control thing.
Yeah, right. So it's not. I know you mentioned before there's groaning and stuff like that. There's not the ability to kind of stop and let's talk. It kind of once you start your session, right? You start your session.
Right. Overall, yes.
Right.
Yes.
So that time specifically with Laura, though, there wasn't discussion. There wasn't any discussion once you kind of started the breath play.
Correct.
You're just kind of going through it, right? And then you start kind of going in the different ways that you talked. Like the ball gag in the nose, the rope to the hand. Was it in that order? Do you remember?
Well, the ball gag was in, so that was kind of a standard. And there was the hand and the throat. There was choking. And that changed to the nostril, both very common, doing the same effect. And then the third element was the rope.
Okay. And were you wearing gloves or anything?
No.
Were you concerned at all about your DNA getting on, the rope or any of that with either the Jenny or Laura? Was that anything that crossed your mind?
No.
Okay.
Did you shower any of these women before you put them into the bags?
No.
Okay. So not even kind of not crossing your mind.
Well, there was,
with the rope and all that type of stuff that potentially I'm going to have DNA associated with anything. Okay.
No. Because there is no, to have that thought, you have to pre-think that there's going to be an issue with DNA, or so there was no thought that way that that's going to be or would be a problem.
Yeah, and some people just don't care about it because they think, oh, whatever, if it comes together, it comes together. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but that that's but there's a premise there, and I just want to clarify. So you certainly have my thoughts.
Yes, sir.
The DNA issue, or the idea of protecting or somehow minimizing, or that there's a premise there that there is pre-thought to, say, a crime or an intentional crime. That's not the case, and that I believe that's why it wasn't thought of, and there was no attempt to conceal DNA in any way.
Well, and I have to be honest with you, and kind of before we talked, and before I knew anything kind of about you and BDSM and all this type of stuff, when I was reading the chats between Laura and you, and I'll call it the disappear game, okay? There's kind of this flavor where you're guiding her how to disappear, right? And it's kind of disappear game, and you're being very thorough on how you're going about, close your accounts, do all this type of stuff. And I get kind of confused in the process, because before I met you, and I do a lot of different work with the FBI, and I've worked with other, offenders that have did different odd things or been very violent, and serial killers that I've talked with, and all of that type of stuff. And when I was going through those chats, I thought, this is perfect. This is the perfect crime, because it's so organized. And from a law enforcement perspective, if I go to do a missing person investigation, first I'm going to check their bank accounts. Well, when I go to their bank accounts or the bank, I see the actual person closing the accounts. Maybe I see video and it's the person closing the account. I go online to see, well, maybe all their accounts are closed. I try to find their belongings. There's no belongings anywhere. They didn't give their belongings away to anybody in their family to show that maybe they were departing.
There's no bank activity.
There's no bank account activity. So sharing from my experience as a law enforcement officer and kind of working in serial crimes, I'm thinking, this is pretty amazing. This is outstanding, and how it's the perfect crime, the disappear game, where it's so organized and thought through that from a law enforcement perspective, it's hard to, one, be able to prove something happened to that person, and two, a lot of times, like in Laura's case and in Jenny's case, they have some type of mental health issues that are there and struggles that they've already had, that sometimes their families don't even realize they're gone because they've had such a transient kind of lifestyle before. So like, when I was looking at all that, I was really, I have to be honest, I was pretty amazed by it. I thought, this is the perfect game. This is disappear game. And there's no way to, as a law enforcement officer, as I'm weaving and trying to figure every which way that I could find a suspect or find kind of coordinated, all my roads have been closed off. And so for me, you talked about yesterday, the struggles that you were kind of having with, I have this inside, kind of law enforcement sensitive, like being involved and around this camaraderie, and then I'm kind of doing things that are kind of outside of that circle, and there's kind of a dichotomy there, and it's hard to kind of make sense of that because they don't kind of go together sometimes. And for me, I'm having that same kind of dichotomy because on one side of it, it's so organized and so thought through, and then on the other side of it, the suitcases, like you said last night, not concealed, just kind of put there. Jenny's in your fridge from August of 2012 till November of 2013, So, I bet you if we looked at your financial records, there's probably a lot of fast food during that time period that peaked, right? Because you couldn't use your fridge, right?
I think I mentioned that very specifically, yes.
Yeah. And so I really, help me understand that dichotomy, because I'm really struggling with that, because there's two different pieces there. There's on one side the very organized, perfect kind of crime, and then the not so organized, kind of discarded. I mean, if I didn't know better, I would say there's two different people involved here. Somebody else dumped the bodies, and they didn't care about the bodies. They weren't connected to the bodies, so they just put them anywhere.
Right.
And the other person that was more kind of the alpha male in it, or the more, if you had two people, one would be a follower, one would be alpha male, and the alpha male is the one who kind of planned this all out. So, what are your thoughts?
I think I see the same thing, I suppose. You articulated very well. I don't even know how to answer that. I see this, same thing. There are parts, the whole law enforcement thing and that, and generally I've been organized and am organized.
Mm-hmm.
The BDSM activities and enjoyment, or call it a hobby, or participation, has been to varying degrees a long time. Like I mentioned yesterday, starting in probably late teens, 19-ish, 20-ish maybe. Right through still many years of law enforcement and after law enforcement. And,
well, and I think, I'm kind of a visual person, so I was just going to kind of write down kind of some of the things in columns that fit for one side of it versus the other,
Sure.
So we talked about the disappear game being organized.
And let me just mention on that, because you bring up so many things, that whole organized thing, I certainly can't take credit for that myself. That's a whole very common thing in BDSM, and the whole, on the higher end of master-slave type thing, versus, and that's the level where people would do the whole.
I respectfully, when it comes to the art of this, you're very organized. When the other agents came into your home, was not very organized. Okay, it's just in a disarray. So
You
There's
mean
certain parts that are
you mean
organized,
the
yeah.
the underwear row, the
Yeah.
underwear
It's
row,
right, yeah.
top row is all nicely.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, but everything else I saw,
Yep. Yeah, so
except
there's-
for your refrigerator, looked like it was cleaned out and done, but everything else is like,
Yeah, the apartment, what you're referring to is...
I don't get it. But when it comes to this,
What when you...
we gotta have everything right packed right, you know?
I don't see...
Do you know what I'm saying?
I know exactly what you're saying.
Okay.
I don't agree with... In my mind, I take a look at that. I don't believe that's organized. That's kind of a messy.
The
That's,
tools for your trade are all
Well,
there.
but
But
it's
it's- but if- yeah.
physically messy. It's physically
Yeah.
not organized.
Well-
As much as... Because I'm kind
As
of
much as you could, right? Because you can't have compartments in there, and you go lift up the suitcase, everything falls together anyway. So maybe one suitcase is, you know, for whatever techniques, and then the other for these type of techniques, you know?
And then as Gil mentioned,
Yes, sir.
the apartment is...
I don't mean any disrespect.
No, not at all. Don't take it. That apartment, boy, what you see is, what you're seeing is like move-in day. That's move-in day. That was like the original day, and I didn't do anything to it.
That's what you told me the first day I met you.
And the appearance confirms that. It's a mess. It was a place to go to work and sleep, and go to work and sleep.
How about your car? What's the inside of your car look like?
It's an older car, and it's not particularly organized or
No.
clean, or and I am overall would like to consider myself organized, clean, those type of things.
But your daily routine is very organized. You told us yesterday, every day you're up at 4 o'clock in the morning,
Yeah.
and you have a certain number of cigarettes and a certain number of sodas, and you're on the road
Coffee.
by a certain
Yeah.
time, to be to work by an exact time, and then you're organizing that because you're planning ahead because you're anticipating overtime and you want to work overtime. So, and then when you come home, you do a certain thing when you come home. Like I'm sure, like on a certain day you do laundry. On a certain day you order. Are you down to the science even of what days you order your food out? Like what days you have pizza?
Like Monday's pizza.
Yeah, generally, it's just a small topic. I've been losing a little bit of weight. I've actually been cooking a little bit more recently, and so purchasing and actually cooking, and trying to get away from some of the fast foods and that. But overall, I would consider myself organized. On the other hand,
Well, and I think
I put no effort in the house, so the house kind of just let that be.
But the other piece of it with the organization that I see is an obsessiveness. 50 blue shirts are all the same shirts, or 50 pairs of underwear. And maybe it's that you just don't like to do laundry, but it's what we found is like one kind of brand that you really like,
Yep.
and then you buy a lot of it, and then
But keep in mind that's over a long period of time.
Okay.
That's
But- okay.
those are not new.
Yeah, but some of that stuff starts to it's organized, and there becomes kind of an obsessiveness to it. When something becomes so structured that it's rigid, then that kind of gets where we get kind of obsessed about keeping it in these parameters, because that's our routine, and we feel comfortable there. The other thing, kind of going back to the organized versus unorganized, one person versus, potentially two people, right, is your phone. You left your phone in Milwaukee when you came to get Laura, correct? Okay. Another thing, being honest with you in full disclosure, when I listened to your interview with Gil and Jonathan, I was like, why didn't he say that he'd come to Minnesota? Why didn't he say that? We're going to get his tower data, and we'll see his phone was in Minnesota, right? And then when I saw that, when I got your tower data back, and I saw that your phone didn't come to Minnesota, I was like, again, very organized and very smart. Because if the phone doesn't come to Minnesota, in one sense it creates an alibi for that person to say, I was never in Minnesota, Carrie. You can't say that I was there because my phone, check my phone.
Right.
Again, I'm not saying you said this, but in my mind, when I'm thinking about kind of this kind of more of an organized person and kind of the perfect crime and how they're planning it. You know, I mean, Jenny has been missing since August of 2012, and nobody reported her missing. So if nobody's reported missing, we're not looking for anybody, and there can't be anybody that's caught for that crime if we don't know the crime has been committed, right? Right?
Were you part of that organize? I mean, did you do things to try to help organize her non-report status? I mean, like, did you tell her things like you told Laura, you know, get off of Facebook, close your account, get rid of your car, don't pay your tickets, don't renew your driver's license, don't tell family where you're going. I mean, all that stuff to, like, so when if she does disappear, again, there's nothing that follows her from.
I don't believe we had such a specific conversation on that with Jenny. So many topics here. I don't think I knew Jenny's circumstances as well as maybe have been covered since. The phone thing, don't give me enough credit to where the phone, I am not a smart guy, a smartphone type of guy. I don't always take it. I'm not obsessed with it. I can leave it on the counter or on the dresser. You know, usually I put it in my pocket to go to work, but not always. The phone is not as big a deal to me as to many, many people. You know, some people have to have it and are connected to it.
You're not. What about they found 2 other phones at your apartment?
Those are
Cricket phones?
Yeah, those are just old models, previous old models. You know, what I have now is just upgrades over time.
Okay, so just upgrades over time. So you don't have another phone that you use that you brought?
No, I don't have. I only have one active line.
Okay.
That number that you have.
And you're being honest, because like I don't want to take away all the honest stuff you've given. I
No,
want
you
to
can
make
go.
sure.
Well, you can go to Cricket. You can go to any carrier. There is no other line. It's the one number. And it's the only.
You can buy a card though. You can buy a card, correct? That was like $30 for your throwaway phone. You can dial the number into it.
I suppose you'd have to teach me. I have no idea. No.
Well, and
I'm not disputing that, but no, I have one phone, one line. Been with Cricket a number of years now, and the reason I've been with Cricket is very easily explained. I can't afford. I don't go with the 2-year requirements at the big carriers. And if you're to leave them, you know, $200 fee. So Cricket is a month by month. You know, they're that's why I started with them, and that's why I continue with them.
okay, I get that in your circumstance, but I'm also and the reason why I put this out here is I've appreciated how upfront you've been, and you know, part of the process in this investigation is there's different things that we can do to kind of find out if there were any phones working in these areas, these key areas.
I have.
And are we going to find any phones connected to you?
No. I have
What about connected to any of your friends?
No.
Any of your associates?
I have no. That's 100%. There's nothing you guys humanly can find. I've got one Cricket phone. Those are old upgrades. Same account, same number.
How many years?
Or you can go back to Cricket whenever I started with them for a number of years.
Do you have an idea how many years, sir? 10?
5, 10, maybe. I've been with them for quite a while.
The other piece of this, after that, you know, trying to figure out this kind of dichotomy in my head of what I'm seeing versus what I'm hearing. You had admitted that you've not set up to have a long term, not planning to have a long term. Both Jenny and Laura were planning long term situations, and you had said that, you know, I know you told us, you know, Jenny, you'd go back on the plane, and Laura would go back to where you brought her, where you picked her up. But again, a dichotomy here is that when you're thinking about that kind of perfect crime, you've had the individual, the person, Jenny and Laura, play the disappear game, and they're coming for a long-term event, and so they're bringing luggage and everything with them. and then it's not going to be a long-term event. It's going to be kind of very final in the time that you're with them, a very short encounter. And in that more organized arena fits for that type of contradiction. You know what I mean? Like them thinking it's going to be long-term, you knowing it's going to be short-term, them bringing their luggage and things, and then ultimately using their luggage to dispose of them. And again, very kind of efficient in that, you know. And so again, it's another piece of that dichotomy, kind of pulling it together, which I'm having a hard time fitting that together with the way that the bodies were disposed of, and what you're saying as far as I just kind of put these temporary fixes on these, you know, Jenny happened, put her in the fridge and just kind of over there, and I'm doing this and kind of not thinking about this. Eventually got to know I have to deal with it, but right now I'm not. And then Laura and what happened with that.
Well, you understand these things far more than I, and I don't know if I can provide the answers to that dichotomy. I mean,
Okay.
you point them out, and as you point them out, I see them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're there. I guess in some ways I look very organized.
Mm-hmm.
Some ways I look very disheveled.
Mm-hmm. And you asked me last night, you said, Carrie, do you think I put that I wanted to get caught? Do you think that when I did that I wanted to get caught with the way the suitcases were discarded? And I said to you, you're the only one that can say that. I don't know. What, you know, did you feel like you couldn't stop? Did you feel like you were out of control? And you never really said, you just said, I just was, you know, there was no concealment done. There was no real disposal that was meant to be sneaky in that sense.
And I think that sure shows. There wasn't. Let me go back real quick. You said something with conversation, and boy, this looks convenient. You know, we've been
Yeah, very efficient.
well, the conversation,
Oh.
and they come, the girls thought long term, and all the conversation is probably in that way. The whole master slave control level, the higher level, and I think all conversation is very similar. Then it's a matter of, you know, does that person, first of all, do they consider, in BDSM, you know, do they consider, or are they looking for long term?
Some people are and some people aren't.
Right. And I think in this case, you know, and when you talk to the different people, they make it clear, or at some point they make it clear, or some enjoy the conversation for periods of time, and then it fades out because there's no intention, either not matching goals, whether it be full-time, short-time, or that in many cases it's just internet enjoyment or the fantasy talk. There's a lot of that.
Yeah. I understand what you're saying. You know, the one thing too that I wanted to talk about on my organized side here that was kind of ironic is one of the last chats you have with Laura, you say, remember, no communication. I'm going to leave my phone in Milwaukee and I come down. And I forget the specifics. Basically, you say something like, you understand no communications. And she said, I understood no communications. Is that so they can't trace your phone when you dump my body?
Oh, that is just all that kind of talk and planning is part and parcel of the
culture. And
the culture, the BDSM, the control, the
But I get what
specific to the long-term plan. You know.
I get what you're saying as far as you saying I'm not bringing my phone and there's not going to be any communication. But Laura's saying is that so you can dump my body? Are you saying, Laura,
I don't even-
that saying that is part of the BDSM? Because I saw that as an outlier, that was Laura kind of tongue-in-cheek saying,
And that-
hey, kind of joke around, and how ironic
And
what
that type-
happened.
Correct. And that type of tongue-in-cheek comment is made all the time that's not uncommon for a submissive slave. In that type of conversation, that type of comment is...
So you're telling me that there's other people in the BDSM culture that play the disappear game. And that disappear game is my term, but...
Sure, it's your term, and
Yeah.
it's accurate, I guess, but this type of communication that you have, that you have my communication with Jenny and Laura and others, is not certainly unique to me, or it's not created by me, or I didn't think it up.
Okay.
That type of interaction goes on, far more frequently than you would imagine. And there's people not like myself, but dominants, or who would have this kind of conversation far more graphic than anything I had, and you would find similar type of conversation regarding long term.
Okay.
If that's the
goal.
the goal between the two parties.
But then, how normal is it for it not to be the goal? Like in your case, where you're not planning, you're never planning to take a long-term person. You're talking like you are.
Right.
So how common is that?
Well, I would probably say fairly common, because it's more more fantasy, because I can't really, my circumstances don't allow the backup of it.
Okay. Okay, so then going back to trying to figure this out, is there anybody that helped you dispose of those bodies?
No.
Is there anybody else that knew about those bodies?
No.
Nobody that we're going to talk to is going to tell us anything about those bodies? Okay.
No one.
Okay.
Yesterday you spoke about, I asked you about Hitchcock.
Yeah.
And I know you told me that he's an employee from Miller, and I know you told me that you call him all the time.
Or he calls me.
But there were some times there, like 6 times I believe, when you were probably leaving the crime scene when you're on the phone talking with him like for 45, 50 minutes.
Yeah,
And
so
I couldn't have, what they help me out, because I'm trying to remember the
it's
rest
November 3rd. It's November 3rd. It's after you leave the hotel.
I can get the phone records just to show you.
And there's 6 calls between you two. Something with your phone. Does your phone hang up after 30 minutes? Does the call just continue after 30 minutes with your Cricket phone?
With it on or off?
Yeah, when you're talking, does the call automatically end on yours? And then the people have to call you back?
No, not that I'm aware of. No.
You can talk continuously?
Yeah, and now
It might just be how the records look, but there's 6 contacts with Carl for 30 minutes each. So that's a significant amount of time that
But
you've
30
been
minutes
talking.
each, there has to be some kind of...
Well, it might all be one. It might be how they're recording it, but ultimately, if we add up,
Sure.
6 30-minute sessions, that's a total conversation time that you had with him, which you're driving, right? So you have time to kind of talk on the phone.
From where?
I'm saying you might not be driving. It might be when you got back home. But it's on the 3rd.
Okay.
We'll see the actual time.
Okay.
So you have that kind of long kind of correspondence with him, and then I think we said yesterday you thought that it was maybe Monday on around June 1st when you got those bodies dumped out of your when you got rid of the bodies,
Sure.
right? It hit the news June 5th, right? That it hit the news that evening.
So what day was that? Was
That's
that
a
Monday?
Thursday.
Oh,
So Thursday's when it hit the news,
Okay.
and then Monday's like the June 1st on,
Yeah.
I'm thinking about, because you said you had to work or whatever. On the 7th, on the 6th and the 7th, you have 7 calls back and forth between you and Carl, where it's these 30-minute, again, 7 30-minute increments of talking on that day.
Together? I mean, is it
Well,
one?
we'll look here and how it goes. But I mean, do you remember that?
That's a long time.
Well, first of all, he's a good friend from Miller. I actually hired him.
Right.
He,
I got him in
to
my
my
phone.
knowledge, is vanilla. To my knowledge, he doesn't even know what BDSM would be.
Yeah, but
it'd
it's
probably
been
be
enough
shocking,
friends.
you know.
But no, listen. So you have just had the ultimate happen to you. If we go through everything, this isn't Jenny. This is Laura. Now this is the second time. You know you have Laura in your trunk, and you know Jenny's in your fridge.
November, okay.
Yeah, right? I can tell from the hotel video you're anxious when you're checking out. And I can only in my mind guess what was kind of going through your mind when you're pushing out another body, thinking, I gotta get this out of here, get in my car, and there was this kind of wait time where you're waiting to get the deposit back, all this stuff, right? So am I correct? What was going on when you were in the hotel and you had all that happening?
Well, you know, I can't even describe it, yeah.
You're sweating profusely.
Agitated, probably.
You're doing your fingernails. You're
yeah.
playing with your shirt.
Yeah. Well, I don't dispute all that
Okay.
because it must have been incredibly intense.
I mean, what were you thinking in your head at that time? Like, fuck, I gotta get out of here?
Well, probably that's accurate. Like, you know, what do I do? I gotta go. You know, well, I gotta go. I gotta leave as best I can. Well, there's two choices again. You can call 911 or you can call the police. And that, of course, is beyond.
Well, that's
scary.
kind of off the table
That's
already,
beyond,
right?
beyond scary
It's
at
off
the
the
time.
table. Given what you know about what you have in your fridge at home, it's
Right.
off the table.
Unless
right?
you decide, unless
It's
the
over.
person consciously makes that decision at that time.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm sure there's some thoughts going on that, oh, shit, you know, well, we'll roll it out. And now, of course,
I'm sure you know, Steve, because you kind of talk about this tentatively, like I'm sure there's some of this, or you know there is. I mean, if I'm thinking about a significant life event, which these are.
But when I say that, I mean I can look at the pictures of the video. I can't recall specifically what I'm thinking to
Okay.
answer your question.
Okay.
Basically, it's oh shit. That's
Okay.
accurate.
Okay.
You know.
And so then what I see when I'm looking at everything I have in front of me, and again, I didn't have this in conversation with you to kind of go with it, but then I look at the phone calls, and so I see November 3rd, you have a significant amount of contact with Carl. And I see that there's like some contact in January and March and April. That's littler, it's not so long. And then after the bodies are discovered, another significant chunk of time with Carl. And you know what I said to everybody? I said, Carl's a good friend of his. And Carl's who he calls when something is going on that he's anxious or upset. There's something there.
He is a good friend. You're just a little off in the sense that very good friend, and I think the flurry of contact, I think more has to do with what's going on with him, because you could go back. He was a Miller employee, had some problems with the boss. There was an incident. He was put on a kind of like a probationary status type thing, and he was ultimately let go from Miller.
When?
He's been and then he's been on unemployment. I think he just got a part-time security job at.
But yesterday, didn't you tell me that he's a good friend? I talk a lot to him, like you just said, but I don't know anything about his lifestyle.
Nothing.
You don't know anything about his lifestyle.
Nothing.
How can you not know anything about a man's lifestyle as much as you talk to him?
Well, because we talk business, we talk Miller, we
You
talk
talk girls. You talk
not
preference.
No,
I mean,
not. We don't talk the personal stuff. We'll talk what's going on at Miller. He calls updated. He sent me his resume. He said, "Hey, how's the resume look?" I know he's a big gun guy. He's got a gun collection. He likes guns. Ex-Navy guy.
Okay, well, let's go through this. I think this is important, and you can help us here, because here we are. This is these records are a little confusing because they're in what is that? Greenwich Mean Time. So we have to subtract 6 hours from the date and time here, right? So they say November 4th, but when we subtract the 6 hours out, it's actually November 3rd.
Okay.
Does that make sense? So this is actually 7:21 p.m. on November 3rd. Okay?
Okay.
So you see here, look at, this is his number that you're calling, the 920-912-4158. All right? Yep, go ahead.
Okay. Yep.
Okay. Now look at here. This is 1,800 seconds, which is 30 minutes.
Yeah,
See?
so there must be, obviously I don't know what that is. Is that 3 segments? Is that an hour and a half, or is that 3?
Yeah, so we have 30, 30, 30. So you have an hour and a half of talking, and then the 408 seconds, whatever that equates to.
Right.
It's just reported in seconds.
Right.
And so we have a chunk there, right?
Right.
Okay, now this is Laura is in your trunk. Jenny's in your. You just took her out of your maybe fridge that day and put her in your trunk, but Laura's in your trunk already. This has happened. You had your second significant life event with the breath play. Okay, this is corresponds with the day and time that West Alice came to your house to talk to you about, see if Laura was there.
Okay.
This is January 17th.
Okay.
Okay? So here again, we have another kind of, you're reaching out to him, not as long again, 46 seconds, so this is maybe just calling, maybe leaving a message, trying to get a hold of him, and then you end up with this longer.
Does the record show, because far more times than not, when he and I talk, not always, but far more, he calls me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it goes. Yeah, it will tell us incoming, outgoing.
Okay.
Yep. So yeah, that's definitely a case. He's calling you and that type of stuff, and you're calling him. Okay, now let's go to the next. This is March 10th. Do you know what happened on March 10th?
No.
This is the day that actually Gil and Jonathan came in interview.
Okay.
Okay. So again, we have now not long calls. It's the day of that interview that's happening. Okay. So you have that. And then this is March 12th.
And just for example, when Gil stopped by and John, what time were the calls and what time? What time is that?
Yeah. So this is at 11 a.m. and 12:13. Okay. p.m. So there's one here at 11 a.m. So that would have been before they ever stopped by. They stopped by after you got off work that day.
Okay.
And then there's 12:13 p.m.
And that's also before they would have visited.
Yep.
Okay.
That's the one that's like that. But again, it's showing you this is March 10th. But there was something interesting on March 9th that happened to you. Do you remember being obsessed with anything on March 9th with the computer? We went through your computer.
Day before the visit. No, I don't recall.
Okay. So when we went through your computer, we found you clicking on an FBI story on March 9th.
Okay.
Over and over again about how FBI had opened up a task force related to cold cases that were connected with DNA, where in 1976 where like 6 females were murdered in California. So on the 9th, you're checking that, and you're checking that, and you're checking, and you keep on clicking on the same story over and over again on your computer.
Well, am I clicking it over and over, or
You're refreshing it.
I got shitty.
It's every hour.
Computer work.
It's at 6 o'clock, you click on the link. At 7 o'clock, you click at the link. At 8 o'clock, you click on the link. Or 7, 8, 9 p.m.
That seems odd.
Okay, so that happens on the 9th, and then you're calling him on the 10th. Again, not long durations on the 10th, and then they show up on the 10th afterward. And then now here we have the dates that the bodies were dumped, that it became, not the dates they were dumped, but after it's in the news. It breaks in the news on the 5th.
Okay.
In the evening. So here, starts at 7:50 p.m. on June 5th and continues on.
That's 4 hours after we found the bodies.
And look at how long you're talking to him. Again, look at our seconds. 1,800 seconds is 30 minutes. So again, kind of a peak. If you look at kind of your normal routine, you don't talk very long with people on the phone. And here again on the 7th.
And when is this? March? Or
This is June 5th.
June 5th. Okay.
Mhm. And this is.
See, I think that's related to his new job, new interview, or an interview, new employment for him. That's what I think that's related to.
Okay, but do you understand? That's kind of odd, though, right?
Well, it's piecing, right, you're piecing time, and that's
You have
good
a
work on
flurry.
your part, but that's not related. It's
not related.
He's
Okay.
not related to, and my knowledge of Scanner
Okay.
is professional only, and
So when we talk just to him and go through everything with him, and that might have already been done, I don't know,
Right,
because I've been with you
right,
all this
right,
whole time.
right.
But is he going to say anything
He's gonna-
about your demeanor
he's gonna
being odd?
he's gonna be blown away.
Okay,
He's gonna be blown away, the
okay,
connection
okay.
with why you're talking to him and this. He's gonna be just absolutely dumbfounded.
Okay.
Now, do you have any lockers at work again?
No,
Are you sure?
Positive. No.
Okay.
Not a sign of anything.
When you used, there's a question.
Storage lockers. Do you have any other storage lockers right now that you have? You keep
Work
your
locker or
body-
storage locker?
Like
No.
you can do the public storage or
Yeah,
whatever.
no, we don't.
But you did own one at one time?
At one time, back a while.
Okay, what
That's,
kind of,
what's that very popular company, with the orange lettering, storage, store
Public
all,
storage.
public storage.
did you leave some items in there? When you sold it?
Back a while, I didn't sell it, I really couldn't afford it.
Somebody bought that locker with the contents.
Yeah, because I couldn't afford it. And I had to
Do you
let
know what
that,
contents were in there?
I had to let that lapse.
Okay, do you remember the contents that were in there?
Well, there was some house contents, there was probably some BDSM contents, sure.
There was the table and
Yeah,
all
some
that
of the
stuff.
bigger items, a little
Yeah.
bit bigger items.
And it was actually 2010, and we actually were able to find that stuff, and
My understanding was, did they keep it? I thought that
they
they
sold it.
sold it for their benefit,
Mhm.
to help pay off the
Yeah.
unpaid
Right.
portion.
So this is in 2010.
Sure.
So, and I already have you at the 2002 with the same kind of behavior, and that's why we're concerned. 2001?
2001.
This is why we're concerned for you, Steve. You've done such a great job right now that I got to tell you, you're awesome because you took responsibility. And I know you're saying that there are no more victims, but I'm scared that there might be something out there.
Well,
Or this is more planned than
No.
it might be.
Or you understand how planned things are when you can rent an off-site place and hide your tools of your trade.
I don't
So
think-
much of it. So
I think that-
do you know
no,
what this is?
First of all, you'll find you guys are very good. There's no future victims. There's no additional victims. None, zero. I've enjoyed. I've stated earlier, around 19 or 20.
Yeah, you
started.
said that yesterday. You did.
That's back quite a while ago, and over time, economics were better. Had some other equipment, additional equipment. Some of the little bit larger pieces.
Yeah,
And everything.
yeah.
But then, living situation changed. From I had at one point had a very nice condo, and then I went back, had to go back to renting, and had rented a duplex in West Dallas. And that's around 210. At some point, when you have that transition, I don't have the room anymore. So house storage stuff, not only BDSM stuff, but house storage stuff went to that storage facility. And then it got difficult to even afford that any longer.
Well, and it's just, I understand what you're saying, Steve. I'm trying to make it make sense in my head. With the in one sense, it seems like the perfect crime. And one person could say the reason why, like you said to me, do you think I wanted to get caught? And there's two reasons that a person would want to do that. One is they're out of control, they can't stop. They're realize, I'm not willing to go to the PD, but I'm willing to do something like this, and then this will maybe be over, and I don't have to worry about it anymore. I'm tired. I'm sick of kind of worrying about this. The other reason is taking control of it again. And I'm taking control of this situation that's out of control by making it look like it's disorganized and not calculated, then creates this ultimate kind of red herring of, I'm not someone who planned this out thoroughly. It's not the perfect crime. but it still is because that person is playing. They're pretending and kind of taking on this thing, this kind of, you know.
That description, though, is that's a...
Well, think about it, though.
Yeah.
It's pretty calculating. It's pretty calculating, but I'm trying to make it look at things. And when you said that last night, and being honest again, you didn't say, Carrie, I put him there because I wanted to get caught because I couldn't stop. Or I put him there because I didn't know, I wanted it to be over, and that would make it over. You know, by police finding it, I just wanted it to be done. You didn't say that. You didn't offer anything else up. You just said,
Well,
Carrie, do you think
I told you, I believe I told you, I didn't have an answer, a solution. I was somewhat forced. I thought, I view it as very, what's the word I want to use, very, just, you know, I acted, but I think I was forced to, because weather and time, you know, I was being forced. I was forced on a move that all the way back to November, you know, the refrigerator, then you have outside, the car's outside.
And it's warm.
It's wintertime, sub-zero, and the weather, all that time, I still didn't have a solution or a plan. I didn't, you know, and I was forced, I think, by the weather, the temperature change.
Or were you forced by your vehicle being parked at Justin's control,
Well, that
and administrator walked by? What was his complaint?
that's the same topic.
Okay, what was his complaint?
Odor.
Okay, and he reported to you, correct?
I happened to be walking out.
And he had
you
it
know.
reported to you.
Yes,
And when was that?
in passing.
When was that?
Fairly, you know, you can tell me. A couple weeks ago.
I'm not. I want you to give me something. Can you remember? Be close to it.
I can remember the incident exactly.
Okay. Well, you think about it. Okay. And let me ask you this: when you were told by this administrator to,
And I just knew
smell,
him as an employee.
I don't know who he is.
Just an employee walking by.
where did you go with the car? Did you pull off the lot with the car?
Well, additionally, yes, but that was my intention anyway. That's why I was going out. I was going out to take the car. I was going to go out and have a smoke break. So, you know,
Where did you have the smoke break?
the our what we call our remote parking lot, our overflow lot. It's 2 blocks north of the campus.
Did you do anything to that vehicle to try to get rid of the smell?
Oh, I may have done a little spray, you know, just deodorant or whatever.
You may
It's a
have, or you did. I mean, some of this is life-changing.
I have been doing that
Okay. You had
for a
that's
period
your
of time before that incident.
Okay.
And that incident was significant not because of the odor, because that was developing. That was my problem, the weather change. That employee that happened to catch it in the lot was obviously now takes my problem in the car, my odor problem, magnifies it because he's noticing, or other people may notice. It's gotten to that level.
Do you see how cunning you are?
Oh, goodness.
How you moved that car off that lot, how you went and you tried to get rid of that smell. So you are trying to, again, be organized and be in control. It's not like all of a sudden I knocked at the police station where I say I did it. So at some point you didn't want to get away with it.
Yeah, I would interpret it opposite of that. I would interpret it as the weather is forcing me to act now. I would say that not so cunning, in fact, almost the opposite. And I moved it off the lot only because, well,
Jesus Christ.
Jesus
How
Christ.
are you going to keep that in there?
Somebody noticed for the first time.
But how come when we were talking about all this stuff last night, that's not something that gets talked about? Like, yeah, I had to dump those bodies. I had to get rid of them because I was at work 2 weeks ago or whenever the time is, and someone said this stinks, and here I have been trying to mask the smell with spray.
Well, we talked about so much last night, but that was just part of it, and I thought we covered it maybe with different words. That it was the temperature. We talked about the temperature.
Yeah, we did talk about the
you know,
temperature, and then you could smell it. But somebody else smelling it takes it to another level, right?
Right, 'cause it was-
Of, I need to act fast.
It was getting warmer.
It was
and-
getting warmer. It had been hot that week, all week. It had been 80 in the 80s that week.
Yes, and up to that time, I could smell it inside the car for quite a period of time before that. Disinfectant, deodorant, spray, that would put it away for a while. And then we got that week or so, there was a streak of hot weather, really for the first time. That created, now, because for a period of time, if you sat in the car, you could notice. In the context of the car, you could stand right next to the car.
So I take it you didn't carpool.
No.
And you never opened up Laura after you put her in there?
No.
Okay.
No.
What did you do when?
But let me just real
I
quick.
apologize. Go ahead.
No, real quick. But for a period of time there, you could smell it inside. If you could stand right next to the car, you wouldn't smell it. The car was pretty much containing it. Then the week of hot weather, and that no longer was the case. At first, that really.
What did you think when your supervisor came and told you?
My first thought is.
What did he tell you? What did he tell you?
Well,
What did Sandoval tell you?
Well, the guy says, first of all, the employee, as I'm passing, he said, oh, something smells over there, by that car. And he didn't even say which car. Of course, I'm thinking, oh,
Fuck.
Jesus
I
Christ,
know,
that's
right?
mine. That's mine. That's my car. And we're passing each other. And I'm walking out to the car, and I'm getting in the car. No, I certainly don't know. He goes in and he reports it to a variety of other people.
Yes, sir.
And all I did that day, I went out, had a smoke, and did what could I do at that point? Did a little spraying,
Are those spray cans still in the car?
possible.
Okay.
And I used many, over time, many spray cans,
So when I believe it was Sandoval, I'm not quite sure, but when he came in, I think it was him. He told you what?
Well, he made mention. He kind of, I think they were, because we all know each other, and I think they were giving me the benefit of the doubt, and they kind of, tongue-in-cheek, made the comment, and
What was that comment?
something about the car, and reference the car, and I kind of rolled my eyes, and nothing came of it. Nothing came of it. They didn't push the issue with me, which is great, because if they would have,
But it was you went to a parking structure.
no, not a parking structure, an open parking lot.
Okay, would that be like on the west side, the east side?
North of the entire campus.
Okay, it's bigger back here too, right?
Well,
I think I'm.
it's a 100 space lot that is considered our overflow parking. So,
Which is covered with surveillance camera.
no,
It's not.
no, it's off camera.
It is.
Yeah.
Did you do that purposely?
No, that's just that's our kind of a smoking spot because it's off campus.
Okay. So this is that key that Jeff asked you about last night.
Right.
So what's it for?
I have no idea. I looked at it yesterday on a cell phone.
So you know where this is found, it's with, you have an area where you have the cell phone boxes where you buy to get the new cards for the minutes. You have the different cell phone boxes.
Like on the
On the
entertainment
shelf,
center.
yeah, right there. And so there's dust on those types, the boxes. This is up there with them, two boxes, and it isn't dusty.
Doesn't ring a bell. Doesn't.
So this is a security key
Okay.
of some sort. You can probably see that yourself by looking at the code. This emblem over here, it's double cut. It's not a car key, obviously.
Right.
It's not. You know what I mean? It's something official. Have you ever worked at a place like that? With that, it's a WI.
It's probably not, but it's in a general shape. You know what it reminds me of? An old. The shape is some of an old the club from a car. The club anti-theft device. They had
Okay.
similar shaped keys, but
I don't think it's something for like that.
Yeah.
I mean, when I see this, I think something like official, like maybe, you know, a safety deposit box at a bank.
Yeah,
Have you
I
ever
don't-
had that?
I don't have a safety deposit box.
What about a storage locker someplace?
No storage lockers.
Some type of company that you've worked for in the past where you've been a security guard that they would have given you a formalized key to something like this? That
No, because only worked security for Securitas, 6.5 years roughly.
So if I went to their, to the company,
Yeah.
show them the key,
they're not going to know.
then I don't know.
No, I wouldn't.
And again, this looks kind of like I said, a W, like a W with an I, you know.
And it was on the
It was right up.
entertainment center.
Yeah, by those by the boxes right there.
Cricket boxes, the old
Yeah,
phones.
yeah.
Um,
It looks to me like obviously it's worn too, it's not brand new on the
Mhm,
edges.
like it could be old. Yeah, like it's been used. Yep.
Did you return the key from the storage unit before they sold all the contents?
In 2010.
Well, there was the storage had an overhead box, overhead door came down, and a padlock that I think you bought from them. And I think that once I couldn't pay, they switched out the lock.
Okay.
So you have no access.
Was that a circle lock or a regular lock? Was it in the shape of a circle? Or
Yeah.
was it just a normal padlock?
No, I think it was you bought from them. I think it was one of the circle locks. Looked like a padlock, but with a circle body. That does not.
Does it ring any
No.
bells at all?
No.
Is there anybody that would have like a Carl or?
No, there's
Your friends?
if you look at were you in the apartment or you were just going off of
Nope.
pictures?
I just have pictures, yeah.
I was in there.
Okay, so kitchen's behind you. This is the wall where entertainment center is.
Do you want to draw this out?
Well, just in general, real quick, because you got the file cabinet. There's a tall file cabinet, and a small file cabinet, and then an entertainment center.
Mm-hmm.
Well, like
Is this on the wall closest to the door? The
Yes,
door? Okay.
yes.
So if you're standing in the kitchen, it's going to be the wall on your left?
Yes.
Okay.
So I think the small file cabinet, the entertainment center, maybe short of my cricket boxes, the TV, which is like behind the door. You go to the entrance, and then there's the front window. There's a big TV. I think there's some wooden chairs, maybe some small wooden tables. None of that is mine. That's all the previous. That goes to I haven't done anything when I moved in there. That's all the previous owner's stuff. He happens to be a good friend,
Who is that?
Mike Robleski.
So that's his stuff that's there.
Yes.
Why is that stuff still there if he doesn't live there?
Just for storage. And Mike's a detective with West Dallas. His brother's a Milwaukee detective.
Okay.
Good friends. But that used to be his apartment.
Mm-hmm.
He went back to his brother's duplex. I took over his that apartment because it was much reduced cost,
Okay.
like $300 less almost.
Did Michael know about Laura and Jenny?
Mike has no idea of BDSM at all, or at least my interest or participation.
He doesn't know anything about that?
Not zero.
Why not?
Just not something that I shared. It's BDSM has been a personal activity and a personal interest or lifestyle. Or,
Okay. This is that other flight information that we were talking about last night.
Oh, yeah.
So what do you remember when you see that?
That was and that's my writing.
Mhm.
And it looks like somebody I was talking to would have been somebody I was talking to, BDSM related. That they may have planned a trip here.
This
But-
is November 30th,
Okay.
which is, we know,
we're talking previous, just
I'm
recent.
talking November 20, I'm guessing 2013.
Right, last year.
Yep, so Laura is in your trunk. Jenny's in your trunk at this time.
Right.
Anything else that this, because for somebody who's had such significant life events, Steve, what you just said, I could come up with that. I could say, based on looking at this, looks like your handwriting, looks like somebody you're probably talking to on BDSM
Yep.
who was planning a trip here.
Right.
I'm having a little bit of trouble not having you having more recollection about some of this stuff. You know, like
Well,
knowing.
That's a specific flight. That's an arrival time.
sure.
I mean, that's a specific.
Oh, that's
somebody's flying in.
They gave me that. They
Yeah.
they gave me that.
Yeah.
Who gave you that?
With the person I was talking to.
Who flew in? Who was?
Nobody flew in. That's the thing. Nobody flew in. You'll find no match. What you will find in BDSM and online, maybe call it the internet.
Mm-hmm.
For every time you have a legitimate contact with somebody,
Mm-hmm.
some type of correspondence, you also have a whole lot of foolishness and just,
I get that.
that
I
doesn't,
understand
that's
there's that
not
fantasy
real.
that doesn't go anywhere, but this looks like it was going somewhere. This looks real to me.
Right.
Because if I go right now to Delta
Yes.
and I say, Delta, give me a list of everybody who flew in on November 30th,
Right, that
Friday,
flight.
this flight, this time, give me a list, and I go through, I will find somebody's name like that on there. And I will be able to find that person and go interview them.
Sure, I don't know,
And when I do that, because even though she's in the UK,
right,
we have FBI in the UK, and I
Sure.
can send them there. So when they go and interview her, she's going to say, I don't know, Stephen, I don't know.
well, no, she'll say we had interaction or some kind of computer thing, interaction, but she's going to say, she obviously didn't get on that flight, didn't, I don't know.
How do you know she didn't get on the flight? You don't really even remember it, you're saying.
No. Well, I remember it, but I don't remember her. I don't specifically remember her.
Yeah.
I couldn't tell you what she looks like.
Yeah.
I couldn't tell you specific. I'm sure we had some generally consistent, common communication, general BDSM, along the lines that, because they're all very similar.
So Jenny flew in,
Right.
you know?
Right.
So we will, this is one of the things that we will do. We will
Oh,
follow up on
absolutely,
this to make
absolutely.
sure that Audrey is still with us.
Of course, and if we'll take it to the extreme. If she came in and if something happened, of course you're going to find out that girl was on the plane and blah, blah, blah.
I will be able to find that out. I'll be able to find that she
You'll
was
have-
on the plane
and
and
I'm
who she
almost-
was and if she's still alive.
And I'm almost amazed,
UK.
you'll have it in short order.
Yeah.
So I have there's no problem. There's no problem. There's no fear on my part. There's nothing for me to add.
Okay.
You started to say if she arrived and if something happened, you went like,
Well, the inference is the other two incidents.
Mm-hmm.
If I knew, if you pointed this out to me and said, boy, and if I'm sitting here thinking, oh, that's number 3, or 4, or 5, or 10,
If she's in
Yeah.
Carl's freezer.
great, or
She's in the freezer that belongs to this key.
right, and it's all due Longman or thinking. But why would I say no? I know nothing about that, and I'm already.
Well, the
talking about-
only thing, I mean,
I'm
I
talking
understand what you're saying. The only thing that gets me wrong questioning you is because when you say, why would I say I know nothing about it when I know eventually you're going to find out?
Yes.
Is the same temporary kind of band-aid that you did with Jenny and with Laura by putting Jenny in the fridge and putting that, I don't deal with that yet. Sometime that's going to come out. When Jenny or Laura in that trunk, sometime that's going to come out.
The difference being the current circumstances change that or void that.
How does that change that for you?
Well,
This current circumstance that you're in.
well, the current
custody.
circumstances at this point, custody. If you were to present that, I would say, yeah, add that to the list, and we can talk about that. But there's nothing there to talk about.
Okay.
So,
And if you did, you remember it would be a significant event, like you remembered Jenny and Laura.
if it were to that, level, I would certainly be able to tell you if I had any in-person contact with that person.
And do you use drugs or any type of anything, alcohol or anything that incapacitates you to the point where you may have been involved in something you don't remember?
No, don't drink.
Okay.
Haven't drinks since I left the police department.
Okay. And drugs?
No.
Prescription drugs?
Zero.
I said?
Zero.
Okay. So, the other with that, and I appreciate that because that's helpful to go through that and just kind of put out, like I was talking about, that dichotomy that's there. Now, when we talked about last night, we talked about Jenny a great deal, and we talked about Laura, and then we talked today about how you were, in your mind as you're getting ready to come here, kind of thinking of what's going to happen. I mean, it's common to, whether you're driving or not to the encounter, if it's a long drive to the encounter or not, it's common for you to kind of be thinking, these are the things that these are different activities, this is the different stuff, the different toys that we'll go through, and you're kind of going through that, right? And that's pretty benign stuff, pretty common, it happens fast, and you go through it. You said that you understood the inherent risk that's associated with breath play, that it's very dangerous and ultimately could result in death. I mean, and really, when you look at it, it's like, it can be down to seconds, right? It could come down to that, right? I mean,
It could.
it's that close. It's like you're right there on the edge of that cliff,
it's
right?
like Russian roulette.
Yes, it very much so could be. Can be.
And was in this case,
Yes.
right? So, and when you're on the way and you're thinking about that stuff, you decide that breath play is part of that toy bag, for lack of a better word, right?
Right.
Okay.
Activity.
Okay, yep. It's going to be part of that activity. So, and I'm trying to, knowing, like we talked a lot last night about kind of that arousal and the place that you go with breath play, that you can only really achieve with breath play to the intensity level of what breath play offers. And having that for the first time with Jenny, and then bringing it back to the table with Laura, knowing what happened with Jenny. And there has to have been, you've already kind of discussed that, about you thought about the risk and thought about it. Did you think about what's going to be, how am I going to introduce this? What day are we going to do it? Are we going to do this on Sunday? So how organized did that part of it get?
I'm sure I thought about it. It didn't occur Saturday. I think we discussed it, I think, yesterday.
It happened Sunday. It happened, and kind of same with the Jenny.
And we had different activities. One could describe probably a little lower end on Saturday.
Mm-hmm. Kind of building up to it, right? Because you can't necessarily start with that.
And
you're nodding,
and
saying yes.
Yes, and we discussed. Then we mentioned yesterday. I went next door. I got the pizza for dinner on Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
There was probably more activity Saturday night, but and then Sunday. Sunday was when breath play was introduced or participated in and introduced.
And so, in that process of knowing what happened to Jenny, you know that there's potential that Laura could die.
Yes, although I can't recall specifically thinking about it so consciously, but I'm sure to some degree or some way is going through acknowledgement through your mind.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't recall myself thinking of it so specifically or directly like that.
What about kind of because remember we talked about the compartments,
Yes.
kind of putting things in, and this is a compartment, a big compartment. You know, for what happened to Jenny is kind of put into a compartment for you. That's how I see it. You know, and it's kind of there and it's preserved, and you're able to kind of do other things over here, and you go there when you need stuff from it, and as far as visually and fantasy based, right? It's there, but sometimes you can just not think about it. Is there a part of this where, you know, and I'm only going off of my own thoughts of this, and correct me if I'm wrong, but you're going through and you're thinking, I'm going to do breath play again, we're going to do stuff, it's going to be exciting, and then last time it was very exciting. Something bad happened, but it was very exciting. There's a chance something bad could happen again. Do you at all start to think if that happens?
Sure.
Any more planning into that scenario, given now that you've been through Jenny? You know what I mean?
Well, I'm sure there was, to some degree, because I know that you're correct. You're correct when you say that it's interesting, erotic, intense, exciting, and you have Jenny, but I still chose to go there, and that's on one hand that defies one could say it defies logic, and you know, you have one fantasy, you think that you could pick another activity, or lesser, safer, or something, other activity, and did go there again, in multiple ways, probably multiple ways that.
And longer duration, probably, right? Yeah.
Like 3 different versions, and so definitely a longer period of time.
And you know, and when it, I know in the foundation of BDSM, that there's kind of like this. There's a dehumanization of the female, and there's kind of seen as property, and you know,
Objects.
Objects,
All of that comes
that type
in.
of stuff, right? And so, I mean, in one sense, I think you'd be kind of sitting there thinking, okay, this could happen again, but you know, I'll deal with it. I dealt with the last one. I have a suitcase. I'll put her in a suitcase, and it'll be done.
And that part, though, we said that, I don't recall thinking of it quite in those terms.
Okay.
That's a different way
How
of
do you-
describing it.
Well, I'm trying to, and you can do a bunch better of it than I can, because there's a way of, you remember how you were talking about it was surreal, kind of talking about Jenny in the fridge and having this conversation and this type of stuff, right?
Yes.
Well, there's a way of talking about what would happen if something happened to Laura that gets at that really it's an object, it's an event that goes wrong. It's not, you know, it's her dying as a result of an activity, much like someone dies as a result of a heroin overdose. They put the heroin in their system, they took the inherent risk, they died, right? And so there's a piece of this that I can see as methodical as you can be and organized, thinking, well, you know, if this happens, if the object breaks, or, you know, the object being Laura, if this doesn't work out and it's if it expires, then you know, take care of it. Or what am I going to do? Well, I'll deal with it when that happens. Or, you know, there's something there that kind of that I would think would represent more of that object property. If this doesn't go the way it is, then, you know, I'll figure it out. Versus if Laura and me have breath play and I kill Laura, then I'm going to put Laura in the suitcase and I'm going to take her here and I'm going to do this and da-da. You know, how you see how it's very specific and it's very kind of
direct and specific and planned, but
yeah, and very kind of the terminology is very different, right? So help me understand that part of your thought process.
I think the first way you described it is more accurate. I would say that the objectification and all of that comes into play.
Mhm.
That's part of it. Although there's no plan to, well, I don't recall myself saying, what if this happens? What if Laura
Mhm.
happens here, happened to
Mhm.
Jenny?
Mhm.
Then I will do A, B, or C.
Mhm.
And that's very spelled out, and that's, to me, that's after the fact, looking back.
What about, I'm going to take it right to the edge. I'm going to take it right to the edge, and I'm going to
I think that's where,
be right there with it as long as I can be right with it.
that's probably far more accurate, or, and again, not consciously. And I'm not talking to myself, telling myself that, but I'm sure, there's no doubt I took it, expanded it. Again, evidenced by 3 different activities.
Different
within
activities
one.
you're doing in it during that time period of the breath play.
All in intense, because it is breath play, and longer duration than the first. And that, and even those factors, or the fact that the intensity was too high, obviously caused the death. I think you talk about the first time, I think the old shit factor multiplied by 100.
Or
With
Me,
second or first?
for second, with Laura.
Oh, okay.
I think the old shit factor multiplied 100 times more the second time. Because why would you, and then, I know you've been discussing this last couple of days, why would you, or why would I, repeat, or close to repeat, a scenario that did not work out terribly the first time.
and you repeat it when you know it and you enjoy it so much. It was very enjoyable and very exciting.
And then expand on it a little bit.
Cause it
time-wise
longer.
And duration, and
Different
a little bit more
ways.
variety. And, I've thought of, I've backtracked and thought of, that defies logic.
Why did you do that?
The why, I don't know.
You appear to know a lot about BDSM.
Kind of a lifestyle thing for a lot of years.
I would classify you, would you classify yourself as an expert in BDSM?
No.
You know what you're doing?
I'm knowledgeable, but I'm by no means an expert. But
Okay.
But I'm knowledgeable, above average maybe.
There's no training, no certification, no college courses for BDSM, I presume.
No, there's some in lifestyle. I mean, there is some of that given by the lifestyle people.
Okay.
There are.
Some training on
Yeah.
it. Okay. But you're knowledgeable in BDSM.
Yes. Yes. Overall, yes.
To me, it sounds like you know what you're talking about. You know a hell of a lot more about it than I've ever heard of.
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
And I'm not trying to reinvent all the stuff that was talked about yesterday. Okay. What I'm hearing, what I'm seeing, this happens with Jenny. Okay. Your incident, you say it goes too far, she dies, right? Between Jenny and Laura, did you have any personal contact with another female in the BDSM where you actually had an act?
You're talking about real time, real in
Right.
person,
An act, sexual
Face
act?
to
right?
face.
Or otherwise, no.
Right. Okay. So then we fast forward up to Laura. Knowing that significant event that occurred with Jenny happened, she's still in your refrigerator,
Yes.
okay? She's decomposing, right?
You said you were changing her butt positions and stuff.
No,
like
I
that.
didn't. She changed, but yes, but there's
So all of that's weighing on your mind. It's a pretty big deal. I have a dead body in my refrigerator.
huge, huge.
Big deal on your conscience and your heart, right? We fast forward to Laura. You're going there, you have 5 hours to get there. You leave your phone back in Milwaukee. All right. We're looking at all the things that you had organized and prepared. Okay. When you pick up Laura in Farmington,
Right.
you come to Rochester, Minnesota. Was there no shit factor in your head going, oh my God, she actually brought all of her shit with her? I mean, she's following through with this full time. She did all the shit that I told her to do.
Yeah, she's.
Were you kind of surprised by that?
Yes.
Was it like, wow, she's got all the shit she's bringing?
Yeah, and it was more than just talk for her.
Okay.
Followed through. Yes, and she had the 3 or 4 bags, or 3 bags and a duffel or whatever she had. And
Are you thinking when you're spending the weekend or the overnight with her, what am I going to do with her? I can't take her back to my apartment because I have a dead body in the refrigerator.
right. No, and I did think of some version of that.
Okay.
And my plan was, it wasn't a long drive from Rochester back to Farmington,
Hour?
whatever. Yeah.
Okay. Did you discuss why'd you bring all your stuff? Why are we going through with this? I mean, why'd you pack all this shit and bring it with you? Do you have a discussion about that?
No, I did not address that because it was what she did was consistent with
What you told her to do as the master.
and the control factor and all.
Okay.
I probably at some point Sunday would have had to basically we gotta leave, pack up your stuff, and instead of turning left and heading south or heading to Milwaukee, I head right back up to Farmingdale and drop her off at home. That was the plan. At least that was my plan.
Okay.
Without yet really discussing it with her.
Okay. But as you're having this session, if that's what they call it, and I don't know quite all the terms of if it's a session.
Before he has to leave, correct?
And so Sunday morning.
This is Sunday morning, this session?
Right.
When?
Yes.
When she died?
Yes.
Okay. And you have to check out by noon?
That's the general 11, 12 o'clock-ish, yes.
What time did you think you started in that morning?
I think that was fairly early, 7, 8-ish. I think sometime early Sunday morning. We discussed that yesterday.
Okay.
I think it's about, 7, 8 in the morning-ish.
So, as you're doing this, involved in this session, and you're 1, 2, 3, 4 hours away from checkout,
Right.
okay? Are you thinking, shit, I gotta tell her I'm not taking her with me?
No, I don't think I was thinking about I'm not going, that's not going to be long term. But no, I think in my mind I was going to discuss that when we're packing and when we leave the hotel. And like I said, I'm just going to say, I not the right thing, or I've got my, we're not going to do long term permanent, and I'm going to take you home.
Okay. But there's no discussion between you and Laura about that?
No.
Prior to?
Correct. No.
Prior to her dying?
No.
Okay. So as you're involved in this session, and I don't know the exact act, I've seen the map that you drew yesterday of the room and kind of how things happened. But as you're going through the session with her, and you get to, I'm assuming that's probably the ultimate part, the highest point where you're choking her, or when her air is constricted, the breathing or breath play. When you're at that point, I'm assuming, is that something that would be towards the end of your session, like the climax of everything?
It could be, and normally, probably yes. Normally, I suppose you progress that way in a activity or in a session.
Okay.
It builds.
Right.
How long would it take a session like this?
No, nothing standard. This probably was a couple of hours.
Couple of hours. So from the time that Laura expired, that she dies in that motel room, how much time did you have until you had to pack, or not only pack, but be checked out?
As I recall, probably a couple hours.
Okay.
A couple hours. So I'm thinking I'm sure the records, would show time exactly when I'm leaving and what have you, but I think it's a couple hours.
But being very knowledgeable in BDSM, knowing that you have a dead body in a refrigerator back in Milwaukee or West Dallas.
Right.
To me, it's Wisconsin and
Yep.
Milwaukee.
Yep.
Okay.
Same thing, sure.
So, knowing that, now you're in this situation, in this session,
Right.
knowing that she isn't going to come home with you, knowing that she packed all of her shit, got rid of all of her stuff, did as you told her to do, knowing all of this, and following through with the session to the point that it's almost identical to Jenny's session.
Pretty close, yes.
Okay. I'm having a hard time, and I'm just having a hard time I fucked up once, shame on me. I still have a dead body in my refrigerator. I fuck up again, and I'm an expert or very knowledgeable in this thing.
Well, I'm not an expert. Yes, I have enjoyed it for a long period of time.
But you're in that session, you're doing that breath play, you're flirting with death. I mean, the last time, because you didn't do it with anybody else, between those two girls,
Correct.
you have to know that what I'm doing
It's dangerous.
is most likely going to kill her.
It's dangerous and risky. I wouldn't say most likely going to kill her. That would be too much.
Do you see where I see there would be a motive for you to kill her? I mean, do you see where I'm coming from?
Well, I can
That,
see, yeah.
oh shit, she has all her stuff with her. Oh shit, I can't take her back to Milwaukee with me.
But I don't know if she has all her shit with her. To use your terms.
Right.
And I know I'm only an hour away from home, so that the return at home is very easy.
To get her back?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But do you see where I'm thinking
Yes.
as a law enforcement officer, from my perspective?
Well, and I have a problem too, like with what Travis is saying is being with that breath play and knowing the significance of it, and knowing that Jenny died because of breath play. To be right there with Laura and for you not to be thinking anything about, oh shit, I might kill her. Like, there's not, oh shit, I might kill her. There's not, oh shit, I need to be careful with her so I don't kill her. You're just right there consumed by that breath play.
And you make it more intensive. You made it more intensive. I mean, you told us when we talked yesterday, it was more intensive than it was with Jenny.
With additional activities, there was like 3 different variation.
And your tools were right there. Your tools were right there on the edge of the bed.
And you could have walked back, stopped, and stopped. It would have taken you how much distance to move your hands to stop? And you didn't. You didn't.
How long did you think a medical examiner was going to tell us? How long does it take to choke someone to the point where you kill them while you're doing that with a rope? How long do you think?
I don't know.
Especially that thickness of that rope. I bet you it's going to say maybe 2 to 3 minutes. That's a pretty long range.
I don't buy that Laura was killed by accident. I don't. I'm sorry. I can see your point of view with Jenny. I mean, oh shit, it went too far. But you know what you're doing when you come to Rochester. You know how to do it. You've done it before. You're in the situation. You're in that session. Not sure what your motive is. But I can't buy that she lost her life by consenting.
There was no point that you orchestrated or that you implemented any measures to prevent her from dying from that activity, knowing what happened to Jenny. At no point did you think, okay, I'm going to not do this I'm not going to do it to the level that I did with Jenny, or I'm going to make this very simple. I'm just going to do it really quick, and I'm going to count to 5, and I'm going to be done with it.
Right.
There was no thought or anything like that made you consider to make any changes with Laura.
No.
And so from our standpoint, when you're doing that, I mean, you had it, like I said yesterday, this isn't a traffic accident that happened that, you know, you can move on from. Like, Jenny's a significant life event, you know, that she died as a result of breath play, and you bring breath play back to the table, and no measures are implemented to ensure that Laura will not die from it. So that's kind of, and then you add all this other stuff that we've talked about, Steve, and it's very, I mean, I think there's a part of you that is struggling with really owning everything and really stepping up to everything here. And it's a part we talked about yesterday, that is a part that you maybe don't want to admit to and be there and talk about this part of you that you're not happy with, this part of you that you keep concealed, this part of you that you don't want other people to know, that you really want to go right to the edge, and you're okay with right on the edge, and you're okay if someone dies. Because there's no safety harness here. There's nothing to help prevent her from not dying.
Do you understand what we're saying, Steve?
Yes, I believe I do, yes.
If it just would have been Jenny, we could understand that. But with Laura, you knew how strong you are, and you knew that you should have known, being somewhat informed about this, how long you can hold that rope. And you knew you were going to go out of control from your first experience.
It's at the climax of all of this. It's got to be the high point in that session.
It is. It's very erotic and very powerful and very, I think we touched on it yesterday. We were talking about control, and I'm not talking about in the BDSM sense, I'm talking about my control.
Self-control.
Self-control.
Yeah.
It's very, the dominant person, or the person who has somebody else very vulnerable, has to maintain control.
Mm-hmm.
Some small part of it always, feet on the floor, so to speak. You can only enjoy it so much. If you lose control,
They die.
you lose all of your control. That's the safety net. The safety net is the dominance, keeping some control, self-control.
Unless we talked about the plan was to have her expire in that process, then it was very controlled and it was very planned. It was very
Right, but there's no motivation there. That's not my intent.
But wait a minute. But you knew from your experience that keeping self-control was the way she was going to be okay. And you knew that if you lost that control, you knew the result of that.
Or it could be
You knew the result. Not could. You knew the result.
You knew Jenny.
You knew Jenny. You experienced that.
I'm not disagreeing with that.
No, you're not. But you're not also being truthful with us.
I am.
You were aware.
I am being truthful. I did not plan. The loss of control that's a powerful thing.
But you knew that when you were at that point, the possibility of losing it was very strong.
Well, you know it.
Because the feeling is so good.
You know it before you start.
Okay, but that's what I'm trying to tell you. You knew when you get up to that moment how exciting that is. It's difficult. It's difficult to stop. But you knew the possibility here.
The
Am I
point
correct?
where the
So Steve, am I correct?
No, you're correct.
You made the choice to take it to that level again, intensify it, increase the activities, and you made the choice to take her, Laura, right to the edge again.
Yes.
And gamble with her life.
What I was going to say real quick, and I don't, sorry to interrupt. The mistake was the realization, and I agree with everything you said. The mistake was not at the moment of loss of control. The mistake was knowing that can happen from the first incident and how intense it can be. And I should have known or asked, can can I keep 10, 20% control?
The possibility is, the fact is, that you were aware that if you lost your control, she could die.
And you gambled and you did it anyways.
This is, remember I said Russian roulette? That's no different. I think it's in some of these World War II movies where I'm drunk and I take the gun, I spin it, and I go like this, click, and now it's your turn, and you pick the gun, and you go like this, boom.
Yeah.
You took the chance that if it goes off, you're going to kill me. How? So now, are you saying it's an accident? It's not. That's no different than what you did with Laura. That's no different. That's no. See what I'm saying? When you picked up that gun, you put it to my head, and you fired. There was a chance that it might click, but it didn't. You killed me. That's still. You knew the possibility of you taking my life. Do you understand what I'm saying?
I do.
That's no different than this is. That's the way I understand it.
And you picked Laura to do that with. You picked Laura to do that with. You picked Laura to bring breath play into. Laura has 6 children. 6 children. She had 7. She has 6 now. And so you not only took Laura away from Laura, you took Laura away from her 6 children and her friends and her family because of that breath play. Because you had to have that tool. Because you had to use that technique and that intensity.
And knowing that the last time you used it, your partner died. You knew what you were going to do coming into this.
Well, the way you're saying it, you're inferring when you say you knew what you were doing. No. Made poor judgment, poor acknowledgement of the control or loss of control, knowing they had the first incident. My mistake was not, I should not have even went up to Farmington, should have not introduced breath play with Laura.
Because
of
what?
because of what happened.
Because of what? Because you may have lost control.
May have lost control, and
The result
will
is
I
death.
can be able to keep control.
If you
Now,
can't, there's a possibility. Why would you even go?
Right, and I agree. I
Okay.
agree, and I asked myself that question, but I will not go where Travis is inferring. Travis is inferring something different.
What am I inferring?
It seems to me that you're going beyond that. You're going beyond that and making an inference that, well, for lack of a better word, this is just an intentional homicide. That's what it sounds like to me coming from you, and that is inaccurate.
But
What
Steve,
is-
go
Oh, no, but
Steve, I think what Travis is saying is that.
And I may have misinterpreted.
Here,
I don't
let
want
me try to get this out. I think what Travis is saying is that, but intentional or not, the knowledge of the possibility of you losing control, you knew that it could resolve as Jenny did.
Yes.
Possibility. When you went up there, like you just said, I shouldn't have gone up there. The possibility, taking that choice, you knew from your first experience. You knew that you could have lost control. You're going for that high grade feeling that is probably awesome. But I gotta tell you, you knew that the results could have been in death.
I won't deny that.
That's what I'm trying to say. We're not with intent or not, but the possibility of death. And you pick up that gun, you put it to my head. It might have gone click, but it went boom, and I'm dead. Okay, because you knew the possibility.
I mean, the risk is that high with breath play, just like he's saying with the gun, a loaded gun
It's
and
not.
Russian roulette.
Listen to me. I know your career. I know how it started off, and I know something happened in that hotel room with that woman, and all of a sudden shit went to hell. I understand all that, but you still, in your heart, you damn have to be honest with yourself. You got to look in the mirror, like she was saying yesterday. She told you to look in the mirror. If I look in the mirror, I see a lot of faults. I got closets. I got skeletons in my closet. Not perfect, but you have to understand what we're trying to tell you is, and you know, this is going to be obvious when you went there. When you went there, just knowing that the possibility that if you lost control could result in that woman's death, What you should have done was, I can't, I don't want to go. But that urge is so strong, you planned it out, you knew it. You knew that she was going to want a long-term relationship, and it was just about checkout time, and maybe you want to just have one more swing, let's, make out, and it got out of control. Because maybe subconscious you thought maybe she wanted to come with you. I don't know, I wasn't there, but you do know by going there, you went and you picked up that gun. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes, I do.
I want you to understand what I'm saying.
I do understand what you're saying. And I don't disagree.
I told you yesterday you were truthful with us. But I always told you that the truth, if you tell me the truth, I'm not going to open that door and you're not going to walk out. What I want to tell you is the judge is going to look at you with what kind of character you were. If you told the truth, you did what was right. But don't get caught at the end, caught in a lie. Because if they get you up on that stand, or if this goes to trial, believe me, I want to tell you, you got a jury of 12, and you got a jury of 4 right now. Can you imagine 12 people? People are pretty sharp. You know you know your stuff, okay? But don't take what Travis is saying back. He's trying to get you. Hey, listen, people are going to look at it that way.
They're going to see the evidence that we see. Because we put our cases together. They're going to see all the evidence. Okay. And that's what I'm trying to say. I'm not trying to jump you. I know we just met today.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to get off the wrong foot with you. All right.
I'm telling you, even if they say you can strangle someone in 3 minutes, let's say 2. That's a long fucking time. 2 minutes. Time it. It's a long fucking time.
And the amount of force that's involved in that isn't just.
No,
I mean,
it's-
you gotta be palms up.
Yeah, it's hard.
I mean, you
It's-
gotta reinforce your elbows against your ribs to pull back. I've never.
I would think that you in that moment is like getting off. What's the word I'm looking for? Ejaculation. Okay. I couldn't imagine that feeling for 2 minutes. Okay. At some point it stops. Do you understand what I'm saying?
And how many times?
It is.
How many times did she almost die while you got this? I mean, we just know about the final result. But what if you're doing this and you only do it the first time? And I'm just going to use numbers, 30 seconds. And she's flopping like a fish. Excuse my language.
At what point does she get? She's on the bed with her knees, and I'm sure her knees went underneath her because she's fighting out. And you're weighing on her.
I mean, and
you were standing.
she's
You were
flopping
standing.
like a fish. And then how long do you have to wait for her to gain consciousnness? And then do you say, "Can I please do this again?" Or you just say, "Oh wow, that was fun." Wham, and we're right back to it.
I was saying, like I was just saying behind her. And some of the description, there's not flopping or there's not.
Well, maybe she was grabbing her throat, trying to pull it up.
Yeah, because
She couldn't because her hands are
handcuffed behind her back.
Do you see how this is going to look at a jury?
Oh.
I forgot about that.
Oh, it's going to look ridiculous. It's going to look terrible. I know that.
That's why you got to be truthful.
And then you have you got the victim, and then you have the inability or the not understanding the BDSM premise, of course. So if somebody doesn't understand the BDSM premise
Would you
at all,
translate for me, please?
But
the BDSM,
the foundation,
the
the
BDSM
kind of the control,
Okay, thank you.
if the jury doesn't understand BDSM at all,
Don't explain it to him, believe me.
okay, well, but they're going to need more than just a little overview or a few definitions. If the jury truly doesn't understand it at all, or just then it's very difficult. It would be helpful.
Even if they understand it, they're not going to appreciate it.
Right? No,
They're not going to have the same understanding that you have of it.
I don't completely disagree, but I certainly hope. I can only hope that a potential jury or people involved have some knowledge of it, at least to put it in context.
That's why it's so important for you to be honest about it, and talk about that.
Can I ask a question? Can you please describe, because you just started to, what was Jenny I'm sorry, well, maybe not Jenny, I'm worried about Laura right now because it's more intensive. You say you stop and start and stop and start and stop and start. So what is her body doing? I mean, you just talk about what you're doing and how the euphoria is getting, how you're getting into it and you're excited.
Right.
What is she displaying to you in her body language? I mean, and again, I use the term loosely about flopping like a fish,
Right.
You know, because she's out of control, having a convulsion, having a
Right.
seizure, whatever. I don't know a better way to describe it. I mean, was that happening? Was she seizing? Was she convulsing?
Short of going too far. And I know we touched on it a little bit yesterday. I thought with Jenny and maybe Laura. There's sound, moaning and groaning. There's moving of the head, the body. There's enjoyment on both sides. There's intensity on both sides. With the intermittent constriction and then back to normal and the bondage and the whole control. There is two-way enjoyment in these activities. It's not just one completely taking enjoyment and the other person not. There are people, it may or may not have been Jenny or Laura, but some people play with breath play all the time. That's like their main.
Okay, but let's not talk about them because we're worried about Jenny.
I understand, but I just want to portray and show you that it's not some until you cross the line or excessive, but up to that, a hand choking, nostrils, the gag. There's a lot of pleasure and enjoyment by her also.
How do you know that you crossed that line? You said that there's pleasure up until that point, you cross the line.
Well,
how do you know that? Like, what do you see in that process?
The crossing of the line is obviously the constriction of breath to a point where it causes death.
Yeah.
That's the obvious.
And what I find interesting is that in order to have that crossing of the line, then you have death. So you're taking it to such a point, and I'm wondering, well, how do you know that it's getting to the point where you need to stop, but you're already right there, and then how you know you need to stop is she died. I mean, right? There's nothing that, what you're saying is everything you're interpreting from her is that she's enjoying this, the way that her head is moving back. She's there. You're behind her, and you're hearing the groaning and stuff like that. There's in that situation, and her hands are behind her back, cuffed, so she can't grab at anything on her throat. Right. She can't do. But is she pulling with her head? Is she doing any of that? At this point, her head is the only thing that she has really control of, right? To move. Because she's bound and she's in this position.
Kneeling, right. Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, the head was back and forward. And
so her head.
The sounds.
The sound.
Excuse me. Yesterday you said she went limp and she fell. So she went limp and then she fell. So if she fell, you must have released it and then she fell.
Well, yes.
That's what you said yesterday. So you
noticed
she was limp.
And I let go, and the first thing that happened was she fell.
And you didn't try to catch her?
No, she fell, and
off the bed.
I may have, but I didn't. I mean, she fell quickly.
She's women. This all saying she's boom, because you let her go. You let the rope go.
How much time was between these chokeout sessions? I mean, how long does it take her to recover, and then how do you know when she's ready to do this again? I mean, do you say
are you saying the amount of time between tightening and loosening it?
Absolutely. I mean, even when you're pinching her nose or when you have your hand around her neck, how much time does it take her to recover from that?
That's hard to answer because when that's done, when the breath play is over, whether it be nostrils or whatever the activity is, then you may be doing something else. You may be, doing, touching, rubbing.
So you're distracted. You're not paying attention to how long it's in between because you're
Well, but
distracted by the other.
well,
activity.
but while you're doing the other activities, the breath play is not occurring.
Yeah, and she's
it's
recovering.
like a break.
Yeah,
Break
it's
from
great.
the recovery.
So she recovers quickly? I mean, like, it only takes a few seconds for her to get her breath back, and then...
In most cases, yes, that it doesn't take a long time between. You would be able to begin again if you wanted to. You could have continued. You could have continued longer if you didn't increase the intensity, because what obviously you must have cut it off completely. Obviously, if you do that too long.
Too long, and if you wrap around 3 times with a rope this thick, you got a wider band,
Right.
and you're more pressure. And you knew the possibilities. See, you knew the possibilities.
How many women have you done breath play with? Many? Numerous?
Well,
A lot?
breath play includes a number of activities.
Okay.
Choking, for example, I mentioned yesterday. That's a very common
Okay.
BDSM play.
Give me a rough number. How many times have you?
5, 10.
Okay.
Yeah.
5 to 10. Okay.
But how many
Oh.
women have you did breath play like you did breath play with Jenny and Laura, where you're you're using the rope,
Yeah.
you're using the ball gag and the nose,
Yeah.
and you're
Probably-
combining with the manual.
Probably nobody to that level.
Mm-hmm.
So just those two.
To that, yeah,
That went
those
there.
activities, a combination of all three multiple activities, forms of breath play.
Okay.
Um,
So the two that you've gone that far with.
choking, for example, is very common. That's probably been done a lot.
Right. So the two that you went that far with, they're probably the only two that
Yeah, that
you've
level.
taken that level of play, which resulted in their deaths.
Yes.
I forgot to ask yesterday, the ball gag that you used on Jenny,
Yes.
is that the same ball gag that you also used on Laura?
Oh, there's no way to know. It's possible.
I don't know how many of those you
Yeah,
found.
I probably have a couple. So I can't answer if it's exactly the same one.
And I assume the ball gag, you put that on her, or did she put that on herself?
It can be done both ways. Usually I do, but it can be done as part of a protocol, ritual type thing. They have the submissive put it on themselves.
Do you remember who put Jenny's on and who put Laura's on?
I believe that in both cases I did.
What did you do when you cleaned up after they died and you cleaned up where they defecated? What did you do with those towels?
That would have been just. It wasn't very clear. I think I rinsed them off in the sink. And I believe I left them there for housekeeping.
Okay. And when you and Jenny checked into the hotel, what name was the room under? Who checked in?
I don't recall.
Did you fill out the I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I don't recall exactly.
Did you fill out the same the information on the vehicle box?
I don't recall what kind of form they had or what.
Yeah, but you know the one I showed you yesterday?
Yes.
And you put the all
Yes,
information?
yes.
You put look, I forget what kind of car it was.
The answer is no, I did. I filled it.
For Laura's, but for Jenny's, you don't remember.
No.
Okay, you don't remember? Okay.
And you remember you paid cash for the room for Jenny's room that you guys stayed. You paid for that, or did she pay for that?
I paid,
Okay.
and I believe cash.
Okay.
And,
So
yes.
after you dump the bodies there, and then you see that on the news, you see that, right?
I did not see it on the
Yes,
news.
okay.
I
When
didn't-
did you first learn about it?
I learned about it days after the paper came out, and I saw like the Sentinel Journal,
Mhm.
Milwaukee Sentinel Journal, came out and it had an article, and I remember the article talking about the location, and talking about organized crime, years ago, and
Okay.
that type of stuff,
And what is-
the mob and all that. And but I saw it a couple days, I think, after it came out.
Okay.
2 or 3 days later.
Okay, so what did you think then when you saw that in the paper?
Well, I think my first thought was, well, it didn't take long, and it didn't surprise me. Because, where
Was it an oh shit moment for you, or
it was an oh shit moment, but an expected oh shit moment.
was it a relief?
Maybe. Like I said, at first I said my first reaction was didn't take long. Then my second reaction was, well, I don't think I expected it to take long.
Did you start thinking, oh shit, they might be coming after me now?
I figured, oh yeah, I figured that again, there was not a lot of effort in practical sense to cover anything.
Right. Did you think about Laura's family or Jenny's family, about maybe their reactions, or?
Well, I thought it would be significant that it would be big news, positive news, ultimately, I would think.
For?
Both, or anybody with somebody missing. Any news is good news, and
Because they had been missing and now they had been found, ultimately bringing closure to them.
not a good disposition, but something concrete for both.
Does anything go into play, like, I need to take off, or I need to continue
No.
going to work, I need to keep up with my routine, or I'm just going to wait and see what happens?
I didn't really go that way. I never even considered anything other than just continuing going to work, and but I didn't even think about it in a sense of a strategy. Just went about, going back to work, back and forth,
So
nothing.
you just put it in a compartment, just compartmentalized it again, like you did throughout the whole process, right?
Sounds like it. Sounds like, your description of that. I didn't really see much of another option. What do you do at that point? I didn't think that. I suppose that I figured, what other choice? What other behavior do I have? I'm going to go to work, do my normal activity. I think there was a part of me in the back of my mind that figured it won't be all that long before, the old shit moment came the other day, at work, and it's an old shit moment, but it wasn't. I don't think it was unexpected.
When Gil walked in,
That would.
and he walked in
Oh,
and saw
Yeah,
you there.
at work.
But I gotta tell you, you saw me coming, and then you walked this way with your coffee cup, and then you came back.
Yeah, I think I put my coffee cup down and at the door. And,
Did you know the gig was up at that point?
Well, I assume. Well, at first, my very first thought was, oh shit. My second thought was, oh, maybe Gil's got some additional questions. But then Jeff was with him. Then there was other multiple guys, and didn't take long before there was, some attention on
Like the
the
shit.
car.
When it went to
All
shit.
those security guards. There was more security guards than there were police officers.
Well,
at the same time,
and it
so
just
that's-
happened, and it's so
I
video.
was trying to sell the story that he was a victim, and we need his car because we're going to dust it, so we're going to tow his car, and he's got to come down for a lineup. And that's what I told him. But they already know that the police are here, and they're going to tow your car before I even told him. You know?
Yeah. So that went to
Shit.
hell.
In November 2016, Stephen Zellick pleaded guilty in Wisconsin in the death of Jenny Gamas. In March 2017, a Kenosha County judge sentenced him to 35 years in prison. Later, in 2017, in Olmsted County, Minnesota, he pleaded guilty to second-degree murder in the death of Laura Simonson. He was sentenced to 32 years in prison, to be served consecutive to his Wisconsin term. During the Minnesota proceedings, he showed little emotion. The families of both victims were present for the sentencings. Jenny's mother read an emotional statement. "You didn't just kill my daughter, you killed all of us."